Come quietly now, and let the day fall from you as a garment no longer needed. Let the outer world become still. Let its voices grow faint. Let its demands loosen their hold upon your mind. You have carried enough for one day. You have thought enough, planned enough, feared enough, questioned enough. Now there is another way to meet life, and it does not begin with strain. It begins with rest. It begins with returning the mind to God. It begins with remembering that divine intelligence is not confused, not hurried, not anxious, and not asleep. Let your body become still, not because there is nothing to be done, but because there is a deeper power that works best when man ceases his restless interference. Rest is not idleness when the soul is aligned with divine law. Rest is not weakness when the heart is turning back to faith. Rest is not escape when the word has been spoken in truth. There are times when the wisest action is not to push harder upon the door, but to stand still inwardly and let infinite intelligence reveal whether that door is yours, or whether another, wider and more gracious door has already been opened by divine love. So breathe softly now. Let the breath come and go like a quiet tide. Let the body remember that it is safe to release. Let the hands unclench. Let the brow smooth. Let the shoulders drop as though a burden has been lifted from them by an unseen hand. You do not have to solve all things in this hour. You do not have to arrange every channel, answer every question, or trace every path through the wilderness of tomorrow. Infinite intelligence knows the way. Divine love knows the way. The spirit within knows the way before your outer mind has even asked the question. Perhaps you have lain awake before, counting what seemed missing. Perhaps you have measured your peace by a sum of money, by a bill unpaid, by a debt remembered, by a promise delayed, by a door that did not open when you expected it to open. Perhaps the night has not always been gentle to you. Perhaps the darkness has seemed to magnify appearances, and the quiet has given fear a stage upon which to speak. But tonight you are not here to rehearse lack. Tonight you are not here to listen to the old prophecy of fear. Tonight you are not wrestling with money. You are returning it to divine order. I have seen many people suffer not from poverty alone, but from the fear of poverty. Not from conditions alone, but from the words they have repeated about conditions until the mind accepted them as law. They looked at appearances and said, "This is final." They looked at delay and said, "This is denial." They looked at an empty place and said, "There is no supply," and the subconscious, faithful servant that it is, accepted the sentence and began to reproduce the pattern. But the soul that awakens to divine law learns a new speech. It does not deny God by worshipping appearances. It does not bow before figures and accounts as though they were almighty. It remembers that the visible is always subject to the invisible, and the invisible responds to the word spoken in faith. Let this be a gentle beginning. I do not ask you to force belief. I do not ask you to make your mind noisy with effort. I ask you only to become quiet enough to receive a truer word than the one fear has spoken. For fear speaks loudly, but truth speaks with authority. Fear argues, trembles, calculates, and repeats itself. Truth simply declares. Truth stands upon the rock of divine law and says, "God is my unfailing supply. Divine order is now established. The way is open under grace and in perfect ways." There is a great difference between struggling for supply and aligning with supply. Struggle says, "I am alone and I must make something happen." Alignment says, "Infinite Spirit is my source and I am guided into right action." Struggle clutches the visible channel and trembles when it seems uncertain. Alignment blesses the channel but looks beyond it to the source that never fails. Struggle speaks from panic and then wonders why confusion multiplies. Alignment speaks the right word and lets divine intelligence arrange the conditions. Now let the mind become simple. You need not think about every obligation. You need not name every fear. You need not open the whole ledger of your life and examine each page before you can rest. Bring it all, silently, into the presence of infinite spirit. Bring the bill, the debt, the decision, the unanswered letter, the delayed payment, the uncertainty of work, the anxiety about tomorrow, the feeling of being behind, the secret fear that you have somehow missed your good. Bring it all and lay it down, not carelessly, but faithfully, not because it is unimportant, but because it is too important to be handled by fear. Say inwardly, if you can, "I cast this burden upon the Christ within, and I go free." Let the words move through you gently. They need not be forced. They need not be shouted. The word spoken in faith goes before you. It enters the unseen and begins to prepare the way. You may not hear the movement of divine law. You may not see the adjustment taking place. But no true word is ever lost. No word spoken in faith returns empty. It goes forth into the invisible and calls forth its own fulfillment under grace. While your body becomes still, Infinite intelligence is not still. While your eyelids grow heavy, divine love does not grow weary. While the outer mind loosens its hold, the deeper mind becomes receptive to truth. The night, when rightly used, is a holy chamber. It is not merely an interval between one day and another. It is a gate through which the word may enter the subconscious and take root in the secret places of thought. Many people go to sleep carrying fear into that gate, and then wonder why they awaken with the same burden. But tonight, you are learning to carry another word through that gate, a word of supply, a word of order, a word of peace, a word of divine protection, a word that says, my good is already prepared, my supply is already established, my way is already known to infinite intelligence. Let your breathing become slower now. Let the muscles of the face relax. Let the jaw soften. Let the heart become quiet. The world has trained many to believe that anxiety is responsibility, that tension is wisdom, that worry is preparation. But worry is not preparation. Worry is prayer in reverse. Worry is the imagination misused. Worry is a wordless prophecy of evil. You are not required to rehearse misfortune in order to be safe. You are not required to carry tomorrow in order to be faithful. You are required only to speak the right word, bless the way, and follow the right action when it is shown. There is no power in panic. There is no wisdom in fear. There is no divine authority in repeating, what shall I do? What shall I do? Until the mind becomes a house of confusion. The power is in returning again and again to the law of truth. The power is in saying, infinite intelligence knows my way. Divine order is now established in my affairs. What is mine by divine right cannot be lost, withheld, delayed, or taken from me. It comes to me under grace in perfect ways. Such words are not empty comfort. They are spiritual direction. They are instructions given to the subconscious. They are seeds placed in the invisible. Tonight you may cease from forcing the channel. You need not know whether your good shall come through one person or another, through one letter or another, through one opportunity or another, through a known door or an unexpected door. You need not know the channel. You need only bless the way. The anxious mind wishes to bind God to one narrow path, and then calls it faith. But faith does not bind infinite intelligence. Faith releases the channel and trusts the source. Faith says, I do not outline. I do not dictate. I do not tremble before appearances. I know that divine love has perfect ways of bringing my good to pass. Rest in that. Rest in the knowledge that the source is not limited by your present understanding. Rest in the knowledge that divine substance is inexhaustible. Rest in the knowledge that a new idea can come, a right person can appear, a closed matter can be adjusted, an old debt can be dissolved, an unexpected sum can be released, a better path can unfold, and a hidden door can open without strain, without fear, without violence to the soul. But first, the inner atmosphere must become quiet enough to receive. The storm of fear must be stilled by the word of faith. I speak now not to your fear, but to the divine self within you that already knows the truth. I speak to that calm place beneath the trembling thought. I speak to the place in you that has never been poor, never been forsaken, never been outside the care of God. The outer mind may say, I do not see the way, but the spirit within says, the way is already known. The outer mind may say, I have too little, but the spirit within says, divine substance is without limit. The outer mind may say, it is too late, but the spirit within says, divine order is timeless, and my good now comes to pass. Let every sentence of fear grow faint now. Let it fall away as the room grows quiet. If a thought arises about money, do not fight it, bless it. If a bill comes to mind, do not shrink from it. Place it under divine order. If a debt appears before the imagination, do not call it a burden. Say gently, this too is now adjusted under grace. If a memory of loss returns, do not let it become a prophecy. Say God restores, God renews, God makes all things right in divine order. In this way, you are not battling thought with thought. You are replacing a false word with a true one. The subconscious mind is like fertile soil. It does not argue with the seed, it receives. If fear is planted night after night, fear grows its harvest. If faith is planted night after night, faith grows its harvest. If lack is named, rehearsed, imagined, and expected, lack seems to take form. But if supply is blessed, declared, imagined rightly, and expected under grace, supply finds its way into visibility. This is not strain. This is not superstition. It is the law of the word. It is the law of expectancy. It is the law by which invisible substance takes shape through consciousness. So now, instead of lying awake to count what is missing, let us count the faithfulness of God. Instead of rehearsing what has not yet appeared, Let us bless what is already moving in the invisible. Instead of asking, how shall this be done? Let us say infinite intelligence knows how. Instead of saying, I cannot afford it. Let us say God is my unfailing supply, and all things are adjusted in divine order. Instead of saying, I am behind, let us say, I am now in divine timing, and everything necessary comes to me at the right time, in the right way, under grace. Instead of saying, I am afraid, let us say, divine love dissolves fear, and I rest in perfect trust. Your mind may not accept every word at once. That is of no concern. A seed does not become a tree because the field understands it. It becomes a tree because it is planted and nourished. The word need only be received again and again, quietly, faithfully, tenderly, until it becomes more familiar than fear. Tonight you are letting the right word become familiar. You are letting peace become familiar. You are letting supply become familiar. You are letting the idea of being guided, provided for, and divinely cared for become natural to you. There is a great peace in knowing that you do not attract money by despair. You do not attract supply by tightening the heart. You do not bring good by scolding yourself, condemning yourself, or frightening yourself into action. Good comes by divine law. Supply comes by alignment with truth. Right action comes from a peaceful mind that is listening. The frightened mind runs past its own door. The quiet mind hears the knock of opportunity. The frightened mind speaks against its own good. The quiet mind receives the right word and the right direction. Let tonight be the beginning of quietness, not the quietness of defeat, but the quietness of faith, not the silence of helplessness, but the silence after the true word has been spoken. There is a kind of silence that is empty, and there is a kind of silence that is full of God. Enter the full silence. Enter the silence where divine intelligence is arranging, selecting, correcting, restoring, and opening the way. Enter the silence where your good is not absent, but forming. Enter the silence where supply is not being begged for, but recognized. If there has been fear in your heart, let divine love dissolve it now. If there has been resentment toward money, let divine wisdom cleanse it now. If there has been guilt about receiving, let divine truth correct it now. If there has been shame about need, let divine compassion lift it now. Need is not disgrace. Fear is not final. Delay is not denial. The moment the mind turns to divine law, a new order begins. The moment the mouth speaks truth instead of fear, the mold begins to change. The moment the heart stops fighting the darkness and blesses the unseen, the way begins to open. You are not forgotten. You are not outside the circle of divine good. You are not an exception to the law of supply. The same infinite spirit that clothes the fields, feeds the birds, fills the earth with seed and harvest, and brings forth light after darkness, knows how to provide for you. But you must cease calling yourself separate from your good. You must cease declaring that supply is far away. You must cease giving more authority to appearances than to God. This is not done with force. It is done with a gentle return, again and again, to the right word. Let the right word be simple now. God is my supply. Let it rest in you. God is my supply. Let it become softer, deeper, quieter. God is my supply. Not one person, not one position, not one purse, not one outer circumstance. God is my supply. Infinite Spirit is my supply. Divine love is my supply. Divine intelligence opens the way for my supply. My supply is spiritual before it is visible. My supply is sure before it is counted. My supply is established before it is seen. Let this word move through the body like warmth. Let it enter the heart. Let it enter the mind. Let it enter the places where fear has lived. Let it speak to the nervous thought. Let it speak to the tired imagination. Let it speak to the part of you that has tried so long to be strong. You may rest now. You may release now. You may stop rehearsing the old story now. A new word is being planted. A new order is being established. A new expectation is being born. The night does not require you to labor. The night asks you to receive. The night asks you to become still enough for truth to pass through the gates of the deeper mind. And so I speak gently, steadily, faithfully. Your money is now being returned to divine order. Your thoughts of money are now being returned to divine order. Your speech about money is now being returned to divine order. Your expectations around money are now being returned to divine order. Every fear, every confused desire, every anxious calculation, every secret dread is now placed under the law of harmony and peace. You need not know the next step before you sleep. If a step is needed, it will be shown. If a word is needed, it will be given. If a person is needed, they will be brought. If a door is yours, it will open. If a door is not yours, You will be guided away without loss. If money is needed, the channel will appear under grace. If wisdom is needed, the idea will come. If courage is needed, strength will rise. Infinite intelligence does not provide halfway. Divine love does not lead into confusion. The way of God is exact, orderly, and kind. Now let the body be heavy. Let the bed hold you. Let the room be quiet around you. Let the air itself seem peaceful. Nothing in this moment has to be forced. Nothing has to be conquered by effort. You are not trying to make money obey fear. You are learning that money, as substance in the visible world, is governed by divine law and the right use of the spoken word. Fear has no true command. Panic has no true wisdom. Desperation has no true authority. The word spoken in faith has authority. The word spoken in peace has authority. The word aligned with divine law goes before you and prepares the way. So rest now in the first lesson of the night. The law is not anxious. The law is not hurried. The law is not confused. And when you align with it, you need not be anxious, hurried, or confused. You may become quiet and still, and from that stillness speak a word that has power. You may bless the unseen before the scene has changed. You may trust the source before the channel appears. You may sleep before the answer is visible, because God does not sleep. You may rest because divine intelligence works while man rests. And as you rest, let this truth settle gently within you. You are not here to beg for supply. You are not here to fight money, fear money, worship money, or chase money through the night. You are here to remember the law. You are here to place your financial life under divine order. You are here to let the conscious mind grow quiet, so the deeper mind may receive the word of truth. And the word of truth is this: Infinite Spirit is your source. Divine law is your foundation, and the right word spoken in faith opens the way. Tonight you are not wrestling with money. You are returning it to divine order. Tonight you are not rehearsing lack. You are blessing the unseen. Tonight you are not forcing the channel. You are trusting infinite intelligence. Tonight, you are not measuring God by appearances. You are measuring appearances by the law of God. And in this quietness, in this gentleness, in this sacred stillness of the night, the teaching may now begin. For money is not mastered by fear. It is not mastered by pressure. It is not mastered by desperate effort or restless thought. It is governed by divine law. And divine law answers to the word spoken in faith. Your word is your wand. And before this night grows deeper, you shall learn to use it not as a cry of fear, but as an instrument of peace, order, supply, and grace. Now let your mind become very quiet around this one truth, for it is the foundation upon which all financial peace must rest. Money is not your source. A person is not your source. A position is not your source. A patron, a customer, a family member, a house, a bank, a business, a contract, a salary, an inheritance, or any visible thing is not your source. These may be channels, and some may be beautiful channels, useful channels, appointed channels for a season, but they are not the fountain, they are not the origin, they are not the cause of your good. The source is God. The source is infinite spirit. The source is divine substance, inexhaustible, unfailing, forever expressing itself in right ways, through right channels, at the right time. When man mistakes the channel for the source, fear begins. He looks upon one door and says, if this door closes, I am lost. He looks upon one purse and says, if this purse is empty, my supply is gone. He looks upon one person and says, if this person does not help me, there is no help. He looks upon one position and says, if this position fails me, my life is uncertain. In that moment he has forgotten God. He has bowed before the channel and called it source. Then naturally, he trembles, for all channels are changeable. People change, circumstances change, markets change, needs change, doors open and close. But the source remains changeless. The channel may change, but the source is changeless. Let that sentence rest in you like a hand upon a troubled heart. The channel may change, but the source is changeless. If one door closes, it does not mean your good has been withdrawn. It may mean divine love is protecting you from a narrow way and guiding you toward a wider one. If one person disappoints you, it does not mean supply has failed. It may mean you had placed too much power in that person and must now return your faith to infinite spirit. If one opportunity passes, it does not mean your good is gone. It may mean that divine selection has chosen something more fitting for your divine design. I have seen people cling to one channel until their hands were weary, and all the while their good was waiting behind another door. They prayed for supply, but they dictated the form. They asked God for abundance, but then said, it must come through this person. It must come through this work. It must come by this letter. It must come by this payment. It must come by this path, and no other. That is not faith. That is fear dressed in religious language. Faith does not bind infinite intelligence to one narrow passage. Faith blesses every apparent channel, but trusts the source beyond them all. Say gently within yourself now, my supply does not come from one door. It comes through infinite intelligence. Let it be soft. Let it be steady. My supply does not come from one door. It comes through infinite intelligence. My supply does not come from one door. It comes through infinite intelligence. You need not force the mind to understand how. You are not speaking to reason only. You are speaking to the deeper mind. You are giving it a new law to accept. You are telling the subconscious that it must no longer fasten itself to one visible condition, as though that condition were God. There is great relief in this, for if one door is not the source, then one door cannot destroy you. If one person is not the source, then one person cannot impoverish you. If one institution is not the source, then one institution cannot decide your destiny. If one sum of money is not the source, then the absence of that sum cannot cancel your good. No man can close the door which divine love has opened. No delay can defeat divine timing. No outer appearance can exhaust divine substance. What is yours by divine right cannot be withheld. Let the body soften as this becomes clear. You may have been carrying a secret fear that your good depends upon something fragile. Perhaps you have thought, if this payment does not come, I shall not be safe. Perhaps you have thought, if this work is taken from me, I shall not be provided for. Perhaps you have thought, if this person refuses me, I shall have no way. But I tell you, there is always a way in divine mind. There is always a channel in infinite intelligence. There is always a supply in spirit, before there is a supply in form. The visible thing is never the beginning. It is the end of an invisible process. Money is one form supply may take, but supply itself is spiritual. A coin is not supply. A note is not supply. A payment is not supply. These are expressions of supply. They are forms through which divine substance may appear. To worship the form is to lose peace. To bless the form and remember the source is wisdom. The wise person receives money with gratitude, uses it with order, circulates it with faith, and blesses it as divine substance in visible expression. But the wise person does not tremble before it as master. Money is not master. God is the source. When the mind believes money is the source, it becomes anxious when money seems small. It counts, fears, clutches, and speaks against itself. It says there is not enough, and then it gives the subconscious a pattern of insufficiency. But when the mind knows God is the source, it may look upon a small amount and say, this is not all there is. This is only one present form of an infinite supply. I bless it. I multiply it by my word. I place it under grace. I expect divine substance to appear in right ways. This is the attitude that opens the way. I look away from appearances and remember the inexhaustible good of God. Let this be your word tonight. I look away from appearances and remember the inexhaustible good of God, not because appearances must be despised, but because appearances must be put in their right place. They are not masters. They are not final verdicts. They are passing forms. Divine truth is permanent. The outer picture may be changed when the inner word is changed. The world of form is responsive to consciousness, and consciousness is trained by the word. If your purse looks empty, do not call it empty in despair. Say, my purse is an instrument of divine supply, and it is now filled under grace in perfect ways. If your account appears low, do not let the appearance become a law in your mind. Say, God is my unfailing supply, and this appearance is now adjusted by divine order. If a payment seems delayed, do not speak delay into its continuation. Say, what is mine by divine right reaches me at the right time, through the right channel, under grace. If one channel has closed, bless it and release it. Say, I bless this channel. I do not depend upon it. Infinite intelligence now opens the right channel. This is not denial. It is recognition of a higher law. Denial is pretending that fear is not present, while continuing to believe in it. Recognition is seeing fear and refusing to enthrone it. Recognition says, yes, this appearance is before me, but it is not God. It is not final. It is subject to divine order. It must yield to the right word. The person who lives by appearances is thrown about by every change in the visible world. But the person who lives by divine law becomes anchored. They are not cold. They are not careless. They are not irresponsible. They are spiritually awake. You may have believed that your provision came from your own effort alone. Effort has its place, but effort without alignment becomes weariness. Right action is blessed. Fearful action becomes strain. When you act from the knowledge that God is your source, your work becomes a channel of divine expression. Your labor is no longer desperate. Your service is no longer servitude. Your hands become instruments, your words become seeds, your ideas become channels, and your steps are guided. Then money may come through work, but it does not come from work as source. It comes through work as a channel selected by infinite intelligence. There is a peaceful dignity in knowing this. You need not beg. You need not chase. You need not stand inwardly before any person as though they hold your life in their hands. You may be courteous, grateful, wise and faithful in your dealings, but inwardly free, for your good comes from God. A person may be used as a channel. A letter may be used as a channel. An idea may be used as a channel. A forgotten promise may be renewed as a channel. A debt may be repaid as a channel. A new position may appear as a channel. A gift may come as a channel. A sale may be made as a channel. A door you had never considered may open as a channel. But none of these is the source. The source is infinite spirit, and infinite spirit is never impoverished. There is no lack in divine mind. There is no panic in divine mind. There is no unpaid obligation in divine mind. There is no closed future in divine mind. There is no disorder, delay, or confusion in divine mind. These belong to the realm of mistaken thought, and mistaken thought is corrected by the right word. As the right word is spoken and believed, the mind returns to its true center. Then the outer world begins to rearrange. Let your breathing become slower as you feel the burden of dependence loosen. You are not dependent upon one uncertain thing. You are not enclosed in one narrow room. You are not imprisoned in one visible circumstance. You live in God's universe, and God's universe is filled with ways. The human mind may see one way and tremble when that way seems blocked. Infinite intelligence sees all ways, prepares all ways, and selects the right way. It is never baffled. It is never late. It is never without resource. Right eye to surely zins nenistar. Tuned from Kotha beam enough or not. That what's not some gain me one from listening and though this be from the combat. Let that sentence unfasten the fear. I do not bind my good to one channel. I do not bind my good to one person. I do not bind my good to one place. I do not bind my good to one plan. I do not bind my good to one purse. I do not bind my good to one visible door. My good comes from infinite spirit, through perfect channels, under grace, in perfect ways. There is a certain kind of fear that comes when one has been disappointed. The mind says, I trusted before, and it did not come. But very often man has not trusted God. He has trusted his outline. He has prayed, and then watched one little door with all his might. When that door did not open, he said, God has failed me. But God had not failed. The outline had failed. The narrow human plan had failed. The channel had not been the appointed channel. And sometimes what seems like disappointment is divine protection wearing a veil. So if a door has closed behind you, do not curse it. Bless it. If a promise was not fulfilled, do not let bitterness become your new law. Release it. If a person did not become the channel you hoped they would be, do not make them your God and then accuse them of failing in a role they were never meant to fill. Say, I release this person from being my source. I release this circumstance from being my source. I release this channel from being my source. God is my source, and my good now comes through the channels divine love has chosen. There is freedom in this. You can bless people without clinging to them. You can work diligently without worshipping work. You can receive money without fearing its movement. You can pay and not panic. You can wait and not despair. You can act and not strain. You can sleep and not feel that everything depends upon your anxious thought. For your anxious thought is not the provider. God is the provider. Infinite spirit is the source of supply. Divine intelligence is the arranger of right channels. Let this thought descend into the subconscious now. The source is greater than the channel. The source is greater than the channel. The source is greater than the channel. If one channel changes, the source remains. If one channel delays, the source remains. If one channel closes, the source remains. If one channel is removed, the source remains. If one channel has served its time and now passes away, the source remains. And because the source remains, your good remains. What is yours by divine right cannot be withheld. It may appear to pause, but it cannot be lost. It may come through a different road than the one you chose, but it cannot fail to come when your consciousness is aligned with truth. It may come dressed differently than you expected, but divine love knows its own. It may come as money, as opportunity, as forgiveness, as a new idea, as a cancellation, as a gift, as useful work, as inspired action, as a meeting, as guidance, as courage, as order. Do not limit the form. Bless the source, and let the form be selected by infinite intelligence. You may say, but I need money. not merely comfort. And I tell you, divine comfort is not a substitute for supply. It is the atmosphere through which supply may come. The frightened mind does not see clearly. The resentful mind does not receive gracefully. The desperate mind often pushes away the very good approaching it. Peace is practical. Faith is practical. Right speech is practical. Divine order is practical. To remember God as source is not to ignore the material need. It is to place the material need under the only power that can rightly meet it. I do not ask you to neglect any right action. When the time comes to act, act. When the right word must be spoken to another, speak it. When the right letter must be written, write it. When the right work must be done, do it. When the right decision becomes clear, make it. But do not act from terror. Do not make fear your counselor. Do not let appearances become your master. First return to source. First declare the truth. First let divine intelligence establish order in the mind. Then action will be cleaner, wiser, calmer, and more effective. There is an old habit in the human mind of saying, if only this one thing would happen, then I would be at peace. But divine law reverses this. It says, be at peace, and the right thing may happen. It says, speak the word, and the way opens. It says, bless the source, and the channel appears. The outer event is not always the cause of peace. Very often peace is the cause of the outer event. When the mind rests in God as source, it ceases to send out vibrations of fear and begins to send out the quiet command of faith. Let us therefore return again to the true declaration. My supply does not come from one door. It comes through infinite intelligence. No man can close the door which divine love has opened. The channel may change, but the source is changeless. I look away from appearances and remember the inexhaustible good of God. What is mine by divine right cannot be withheld. These words are not to be hurried. They are to be lived with. They are to be received as one receives a healing balm. Slowly, quietly, faithfully. Imagine now, if you will, that every channel you have feared losing is placed gently in the hands of infinite spirit. The work, the payment, the obligation, the person, the agreement, the hope, the plan, the door, the sum of money, the question about tomorrow. Place each one in divine hands, not to abandon it, but to free it from fear. Say to each one, you are not my source, you are under divine order. If you are the right channel, you remain and bless me. If you are not the right channel, you pass away and a better one appears under grace. This is non-resistance beginning to work in the financial life. How restful it is to cease making idols of channels. How restful it is to stop saying this must be the way. How restful it is to let divine intelligence be intelligent. The human mind often wishes to instruct God in methods, timing, routes, and amounts. But the higher way is to declare the end in truth and leave the method to infinite wisdom. You may declare supply. You may declare order. You may declare right action. You may declare perfect provision. You may declare that your good comes under grace in perfect ways. But do not imprison it in one outline. Let your mind become spacious. Let there be room for God to act. Let there be room for unexpected good. Let there be room for a letter, a call, a meeting, a memory, an idea, a cancellation, a repayment, an invitation, a new work, a new road, a new thought. Let there be room for divine surprise, for often the way of spirit is simple, but not the way the anxious mind predicted. The anxious mind imagines one narrow bridge. Infinite intelligence has already prepared a road. The night is a blessed time to release dependence on channels. During the day, appearances seem loud. People speak, figures are counted, duties present themselves, letters arrive, demands are made. But at night, when the body is still and the outer world grows dim, the soul can remember what is eternal. It can remember that before any visible money appeared, divine substance existed. Before any position was given, divine intelligence existed. Before any person could help or refuse to help, divine love existed. Before any door opened or closed, God was the source, and God is the source now. Not tomorrow only, not when conditions improve, not when fear disappears completely. Now, in this breath, in this quiet room, in this very moment when your conscious mind is becoming still and your deeper mind is listening, God is the source now. Infinite Spirit is the source now. Divine substance is present now. The law of supply is operating now. The channels of your good are now being selected, opened, adjusted, and blessed by divine intelligence. Do not ask your tired mind to understand the mechanism. A child does not understand how the seed becomes a flower, yet the flower comes. The seed is planted in the dark soil, and hidden processes begin. So it is with the word of truth. You plant it in the quiet mind. You may not see at once how the channel will appear. You may not hear the hidden movement, but the law is faithful. The word begins its work. The subconscious receives. Divine order is established first within, then without. If a thought comes and says, "But where will the money come from?" answer gently, "From God, through the channels infinite intelligence selects." If the thought says, "But who will help me?" answer, "Divine love knows whom to send, whom to remove, and whom to bless." If the thought says, "What if this door closes?" answer, "No man can close the door. Divine love has opened, and no closed door can withhold my divine right." If the thought says, "I am afraid," answer, "I look away from appearances and remember the inexhaustible good of God." In this way, you train the mind to return to source. You do not let it wander all night among the shadows of possible loss. You guide it back as a shepherd guides a lamb, gently, firmly, again and again, back to God, back to supply, back to divine substance, back to the inexhaustible good that cannot be diminished by any appearance. This is spiritual discipline, but it is not harsh. It is tender obedience to truth. I tell you, when a person truly understands that God is the source, a great fear dies. Not all questions are answered at once, but fear loses its throne. The soul begins to breathe, the hands open, the mind becomes clearer, the word becomes stronger. The person no longer speaks like a beggar at the gate of circumstance, but like a child of God in the house of abundance. They may still have actions to take. They may still have matters to arrange, but inwardly something has changed. They are no longer asking the world for permission to be supplied. Let that change begin now. You are not asking the world for permission to be supplied. You are not asking one channel to be your God. You are not asking money to be your peace. You are remembering the source. You are returning all channels to divine order. You are releasing every visible thing from the false burden of being your supply. You are saying with quiet authority, "God is my source. Infinite Spirit is my supply. Divine love opens the way. My good comes to me under grace, through perfect channels, in perfect ways." Let this become very gentle now, almost like a lullaby of truth. God is my source. Infinite Spirit is my supply. Divine love opens the way. My good comes under grace. The right channel appears. The right door opens. The right person is guided. The right idea comes. The right action is shown. The right amount is released. The right order is established. I do not force. I do not fear. I bless the way. Feel the relief of not having to know every channel. Feel the relief of not having to make one door open by force. Feel the relief of not having to hold another person in your mind as the keeper of your fate. Feel the relief of letting God be God. Infinite intelligence has never needed your anxiety in order to work. Divine love has never required your panic in order to provide. The law of supply does not become more powerful because you are afraid. It becomes visible as you align with it. And now, as you rest more deeply, let the mind receive this order. All false dependence is dissolved. You are not dependent upon fear. You are not dependent upon one channel. You are not dependent upon the opinion of man. You are not dependent upon yesterday's conditions. You are not dependent upon the mistakes of the past. You are not dependent upon the narrowness of your own reasoning. You are dependent upon God alone, and to be dependent upon God is to be free. For God as source does not mean uncertainty. It means infinite certainty. It means that behind every visible form there is divine substance. Behind every right desire there is divine fulfillment. Behind every true need there is divine provision. Behind every burden cast in faith there is divine adjustment. Behind every closed false way there is the true way, prepared and waiting. Your good is not fragile. Your good is spiritual before it is visible, and because it is spiritual, it is governed by law. So rest in the law, rest in the source, rest in the truth that the channel may change, but the source is changeless. Rest in the truth that no man can close the door which divine love has opened. Rest in the truth that what is yours by divine right cannot be withheld. Rest in the truth that money is only one expression of supply, and supply itself is inexhaustible. Rest in the truth that infinite intelligence has countless channels, and you do not bind your good to one. Soon we shall speak more deeply of the word, for the word is the wand by which the unseen pattern is called into form. But before the word can be used rightly, the heart must know to whom it speaks, and from where supply truly comes. You do not speak to a frightened world as though it were your master. You speak from the knowledge of God as source. You do not speak as one imprisoned by a channel. You speak as one supplied by infinite spirit. You do not speak as one begging appearances to change. You speak as one who knows that appearances yield to divine law. Let the foundation be laid quietly now. God is the source. Infinite spirit is the source. Divine substance is inexhaustible. The channel is temporary. The source is eternal. My supply does not come from one door. It comes through infinite intelligence. No man can close the door which divine love has opened. The channel may change, but the source is changeless. I look away from appearances and remember the inexhaustible good of God. What is mine by divine right cannot be withheld. Let these words move before you into the night. Let them enter the deeper mind. Let them loosen every false dependence. Let them open the inner doors of peace. And now, from this remembrance of the true source, we may approach the next great law gently and rightly. For when you know that God is your source, your speech changes. You no longer speak from panic. You no longer speak as a servant of circumstances. You begin to understand that every word is a seed, every declaration is a mold, and your spoken word is not mere commentary upon life. It is spiritual causation. It is creative power. It is your wand. Now that the heart has turned again toward the true source, let us come quietly to the instrument by which man cooperates with that source. It is not strain. It is not fear. It is not anxious striving in the dark. It is the spoken word. Your word is your wand. With it you trace upon the invisible the pattern that must, in time, seek expression in the visible. With it you bless or burden, open or close, invite or repel, strengthen or scatter. The word is not a little thing. It is not merely sound passing through the lips. It is the mold into which divine substance flows. I have taught this again and again because it is the door through which so many pass from bondage into liberty. A person may work hard, pray often, desire sincerely, and still speak against their own good from morning until night. They may ask for supply, and then say, I never have enough. They may pray for an open door and then say, nothing ever works for me. They may desire peace, and then speak continually of fear. They may ask infinite spirit for abundance, and then make a false prophecy over their purse by declaring, I cannot afford it. Money never stays, I am always behind. Then they wonder why the outer condition remains unchanged. But do not let this awareness trouble you. I do not speak it to condemn you. I speak it to awaken you gently. The moment you see the law, you may begin to use it rightly. The moment you recognize that a false word has gone forth, you may speak a true word in its place. Divine law is exact, but it is also merciful to the one who turns from fear to faith. You are not bound forever by what you have said unconsciously. You are being invited now to speak consciously, lovingly, wisely, and with spiritual authority. The subconscious mind listens. It listens in the daylight, and it listens in the night. It listens when you speak in earnest, and it listens when you speak in jest. It listens when your words are clothed in prayer, and it listens when your words are clothed in complaint. It does not say, this sentence was only spoken in passing, therefore I shall ignore it. It receives the repeated impression. It accepts the emotional word. It takes the words you speak often, and it builds around them. This is why idle words are not idle in spiritual law. They are seeds, and every seed brings forth after its kind. If a person says again and again, I am poor, the deeper mind does not argue. It accepts the pattern of poverty. If a person says, I cannot pay, the deeper mind begins to arrange experience around inability. If a person says, everything is too expensive, the deeper mind hears a command of limitation. If a person says, money goes out faster than it comes in, the deeper mind receives a law of loss. Not because God has decreed loss, but because man has spoken a word against his own supply and has believed in the appearance more than the truth. So tonight, let the mouth become sacred. Let no word of lack go forth from your lips tonight. Let no false prophecy be spoken over your purse, your house, your work, your future, your obligations, or your peace. Let the old phrases grow silent. Let them lose their place in you. Let them become foreign to your tongue. You are not here to report lack like a servant of appearance. You are here to speak truth like a child of God. My words are not servants of appearance. They are servants of truth. This is a great turning point in the life of any soul. The ordinary mind looks at the visible condition and describes it. The awakened mind looks at divine law and declares it. The ordinary mind says, I am in lack because I see lack. The awakened mind says, I see an appearance of lack. But God is my unfailing supply, and this condition is now dissolved by the right word. The ordinary mind says, I cannot afford it. The awakened mind says divine intelligence provides the right supply for the right thing at the right time. The ordinary mind says I am behind. The awakened mind says I am in divine order, and every obligation is met under grace in perfect ways. You must understand the difference between describing and decreeing. Most people believe they are only describing their condition when they speak of lack. They think their words are innocent because they match appearances, but spiritual law does not ask whether the word matched the appearance, it asks what pattern the word is creating. To continually describe poverty is to keep engraving poverty upon the mind. To continually describe delay is to deepen delay in consciousness. To continually describe fear is to make fear familiar to the subconscious. You may look at an appearance without accepting it as final. You may acknowledge a condition without enthroning it. You may say, this appearance is before me, but it is not the truth of God. It is now corrected by divine order. I do not describe poverty, I dissolve it by the right word. Let that be received gently. I do not describe poverty, I dissolve it by the right word. I do not describe lack, I dissolve it by the right word. I do not describe delay, I dissolve it by the right word. I do not describe debt as a mountain, I place every obligation under divine order. I do not describe fear as master, I declare divine love casts out fear. I do not describe my purse as empty, I declare it filled with divine substance under grace in perfect ways. The world may speak limitation, but I speak divine supply. The world may say there is not enough, but I speak divine supply. The world may say, you are dependent on circumstances, but I speak divine supply. The world may say, you must fear tomorrow, but I speak divine supply. The world may say, hold tightly, worry constantly, expect little, but I speak divine supply. I do not take my language from fear, I take my language from truth. I do not let appearances teach my mouth, I let divine law teach my mouth. There is an old habit in many people of making little jokes against their own good. They say, I am always broke, and laugh. They say, money hates me, and laugh. They say, I shall never get ahead, and laugh. But the subconscious does not laugh. It records, it receives, it builds, and the law moves according to the accepted pattern. Therefore, make no jest against your supply. Make no light word against your prosperity. Make no clever remark that cuts the root of your own good. Let your speech become noble. Let it become clean. Let it become disciplined, not with harshness, but with reverence. The tongue is a little member, yet it directs the life. A rudder is small, but it turns a ship. A seed is small, but it contains a tree. A word may seem small, but it contains a condition. A single sentence repeated with feeling may become a path, a door, a limitation, or a liberation. Therefore, speak as one who understands, speak as one who plants, speak as one who has been entrusted with a sacred instrument. If you have often said, I cannot afford it, do not be ashamed. Simply stop giving that sentence authority. Replace it. Say, if this is mine by divine right, the money appears under grace. Say, if this is not mine by divine right, I bless it and release it, and something better takes its place. Say, God is my unfailing supply, and I am guided in wisdom. This is not reckless speech. It is not foolish spending. It is spiritual poise. It does not say, I shall have everything the personal mind desires. It says, what is mine by divine right is provided, and what is not mine passes away without loss. There is a difference between faith and extravagance, just as there is a difference between wisdom and fear. Fear says, I cannot afford it, and closes the mind. Wisdom says, divine intelligence guides me. If it is right, the way is provided. If it is not right, I am peacefully directed elsewhere. Faith does not pretend. Faith listens, faith blesses, faith speaks from the source, and then follows right action. Let your words be rich with this kind of faith. Let them carry order, not impulse. Let them carry peace, not panic. Your word is your wand. It is not a whip with which to force life. It is not a tool for demanding foolishly. It is a wand of divine agreement. It draws the pattern that divine law can fulfill. When you speak in alignment with truth, you are not trying to bend God to your will. You are letting your will become quiet enough to speak with God. You are saying what is eternally true, and then the temporal condition must begin to adjust. If the old thought says money never stays with me, answer, money is divine substance and it remains, circulates and multiplies under grace in perfect order. If the old thought says I always lose, answer, there is no loss in divine mind. What belongs to me by divine right is protected and restored. If the old thought says nothing works for me, answer, Divine law works perfectly for me now, and all things are adjusted in right order. If the old thought says I am too late, answer, divine timing is exact, and my good arrives at the appointed hour. Speak these words not with strain, but with calm authority. The most powerful word is not always the loudest word. Often it is the quiet word spoken from certainty. The night does not require a shout. The night receives a steady declaration. The deeper mind is impressed by rhythm, feeling, repetition, and conviction. So let your word be steady, let it be warm, let it be faithful, let it move softly through you until the nervous mind begins to yield. There may be a part of you that feels it is dishonest to speak supply when the appearance shows lack, but this is because you have been taught that appearances are the highest truth. They are not. They are only the present effect of past states of thought, speech, fear, faith, action, and expectation. To speak the truth is not dishonest. It is the beginning of correction. If a room is dark, one does not honor the darkness by describing it forever. One lights the lamp. The right word is a lamp. It does not deny that darkness was seen. It introduces a higher fact. So if an obligation stands before you, you need not say, "This is impossible." You may say, "This obligation is now met under grace in perfect ways." If money appears delayed, you need not say, "It will never come." You may say, "My supply is now released through the channels infinite intelligence selects." If the future seems uncertain, you need not say, "I do not know what will become of me." You may say, "Divine order goes before me and makes the crooked places straight." If your heart trembles, you need not call trembling your truth. You may say, "Divine love steadies me, guides me, and provides for me." Do not make a false prophecy over your purse. Do not look upon it and say, "There is never enough." Do not touch money and say, "It is almost gone." Do not pay a bill and say, "This leaves me with nothing." Do not receive money and say, "It will not last." These are commands, though you may have thought them complaints. They are instructions, though you may have thought them descriptions. Speak instead, "This money is blessed. It is divine substance. It circulates under grace and returns multiplied in perfect ways." Speak, "My purse is blessed. My accounts are blessed. My obligations are blessed. My income is blessed. My giving is blessed. My receiving is blessed. All is under divine order." Words create atmosphere. There are houses filled with anxious words, and the very air seems heavy with limitation. There are purses filled with fearful words, and money seems to escape them. There are minds filled with defeated words, and every opportunity seems to arrive tired and leave quickly. But there are also lives blessed by right speech. There are rooms where faith has been spoken until peace dwells there. There are businesses where divine order has been declared until right customers, right ideas, and right timing appear. There are homes where supply has been blessed until fear no longer governs the table. There are hearts where the word has been used so faithfully that abundance feels natural. Let your own heart become such a place. Let your room tonight become a chamber of right words. Let the last language your subconscious hears be not lack but supply, not fear but divine order, not complaint but blessing, not "I cannot," but "God can," "God does," "God now makes the way," not "It is too late," but divine timing is perfect, not "I am forgotten," but infinite love remembers me and provides for me under grace. You need not speak many words at once. A few true words, faithfully repeated, may do more than many anxious sentences. God is my supply. This is enough to begin. My money is in divine order. This is enough to plant. Every obligation is met under grace in perfect ways. This is enough to direct the mind. What is mine by divine right now comes to me. This is enough to open expectancy. My words are not servants of appearance. They are servants of truth. This is enough to change the government of the tongue. Let these statements move through you slowly. God is my unfailing supply. My money is in divine order. Every obligation is met under grace in perfect ways. What is mine by divine right now comes to me. The world may speak limitation, but I speak divine supply. I do not describe poverty. I dissolve it by the right word. My words are not servants of appearance. They are servants of truth. Your word is your wand. Let no word of lack go forth from your lips tonight. Now, if a memory comes of having spoken wrongly, meet it gently. Perhaps you have said many times, "I am broke." Perhaps you have said, "I am unlucky." Perhaps you have said, "No one helps me." Perhaps you have said, "Money never comes easily." Do not allow these memories to become another burden. Simply see them as old garments that no longer fit the soul. Tonight you are putting them off. Tonight, You are learning another language. Tonight you are no longer a servant of fear's vocabulary. There is no need to accuse yourself. Accusation does not heal speech. Awareness heals speech when joined with truth. You may say, I have spoken from fear, but fear is not my master. I now speak from divine law. You may say, I have repeated limitation, but limitation is not my inheritance. I now repeat supply. You may say, I have described appearances, but appearances are not final. I now declare divine order. The correction begins the moment the right word is chosen. The subconscious is wonderfully obedient. This is why the law can seem severe when we speak wrongly, and merciful when we speak rightly. It receives the pattern given. If the pattern is fear, it reproduces fear. If the pattern is faith, it begins to reproduce faith. If the pattern is lack, it arranges around lack. If the pattern is supply, it begins to accept supply as natural. Therefore, the work is not to fight the subconscious, but to instruct it. Not to scold it, but to feed it. Not to frighten it, but to impress it with the word of truth. Tonight, as the body rests, the deeper mind is more open. The gate is softer now. The guard of argument grows quiet. The reasoning mind, which so often says, but how, but when, but through whom, begins to loosen. This is a holy opportunity. The word may enter without so much resistance. It may settle deeper than it does in the noise of the day. It may become a new root. It may begin quietly to draw new conditions into form. Let the word enter as peace. God is my unfailing supply. Let the word enter as order. My money is in divine order. Let the word enter as trust. Every obligation is met under grace in perfect ways. Let the word enter as expectancy. What is mine by divine right now comes to me. Let the word enter as authority. The world may speak limitation, but I speak divine supply. Let the word enter as release. I do not describe poverty. I dissolve it by the right word. Perhaps tomorrow, or the day after, or in some quiet moment, you will hear yourself about to speak an old sentence. You may begin to say, I cannot afford it. And then you will pause. That pause is grace. That pause is the doorway of mastery. In that pause, you may choose again. You may say, if it is mine by divine right, the supply appears. If it is not mine, I bless it and let it go. You may begin to say, money never stays. And then you will pause. In that pause, you may say, money is divine substance. It remains, circulates, and multiplies under grace. You may begin to say, I am behind, and then you will pause. In that pause, you may say, I am now in divine order, and every right thing is accomplished at the right time. Do not despise the pause. The pause between the old word and the new word is where freedom begins. A life is often changed, not by a thunderbolt, but by the first moment one refuses to repeat an ancient fear. One sentence withheld may save a season of trouble. One true word spoken may begin a season of supply. The mouth becomes trained. The mind becomes trained. The expectation becomes trained. And gradually, what once felt natural to fear begins to feel foreign, and what once felt impossible to faith begins to feel like home. Your word is your wand. Treat it gently. Treat it reverently. Treat it as you would treat a lamp in a dark room, a key to a locked door, a seed in a fertile field, a letter sent ahead to prepare your arrival. Do not throw it carelessly into complaint. Do not give it to fear as a servant. Do not let it become the messenger of lack. Let it become the messenger of divine good. When you speak of money, bless it. When you speak of work, bless it. When you speak of obligation, bless it. When you speak of tomorrow, bless it. When you speak of yourself, bless yourself. Do not say, I am foolish with money. Say, divine wisdom governs my use of money. Do not say, I never know what to do. Say, infinite intelligence gives me the right idea and the right action. Do not say, I am alone. Say, divine love surrounds me and sends the right people at the right time. Do not say, there is no way. Say, God makes a way where my human mind sees none. These words are not ornaments. They are working powers. They instruct the inner life. They open the imagination to good. They cleanse the feeling nature. They prepare the mind to notice opportunity. They quiet the body so that guidance can be heard. They prevent fear from writing its instructions upon the subconscious. A right word does not merely sound beautiful. It changes the direction of consciousness. Let your financial life be renamed tonight. If you have called it difficult, call it blessed. If you have called it hopeless, call it under divine order. If you have called it confusing, call it guided by infinite intelligence. If you have called it delayed, call it arriving in divine timing. If you have called it empty, call it filled with divine substance. If you have called it broken, call it restored. The name you give a condition is powerful. Do not baptize your circumstances in fear. Baptize them in truth. I have known people who would not change their words because they said, "But I am only telling the truth." Yet they were not telling the truth. They were telling the appearance. Truth is higher than appearance. Truth is God's idea behind the temporary picture. Truth says supply is inexhaustible. Truth says divine order is possible. Truth says the right word changes the mold. Truth says what is yours by divine right cannot be withheld. Truth says divine love knows the way. Truth says the burden can be cast upon the Christ within, and man can go free. Therefore, let your words become loyal to truth. If appearances ask your mouth to testify for them, refuse gently. If lack asks you to repeat its name, refuse gently. If fear asks you to make a prophecy, refuse gently. If old habit asks you to say, "I am broke," refuse gently. You do not need to fight these thoughts like enemies. Simply do not give them your voice. Your voice is too powerful to be loaned to fear. Your word is too sacred to be made a servant of limitation. Now, in the quiet of this night, begin again. Speak inwardly, or let me speak for you while you rest. God is my unfailing supply. My money is in divine order. Every obligation is met under grace in perfect ways. What is mine by divine right now comes to me. I do not make a false prophecy over my purse. I do not speak lack over my home. I do not speak fear over tomorrow. I do not speak defeat over my work. I do not speak delay over my good. I speak divine supply. I speak divine order. I speak divine timing. I speak divine love. I speak the right word, and the right word goes before me. Let the words be gentle, but let them be firm. There is no harshness in divine authority. A queen need not shout to be obeyed. A law need not tremble to be law. Speak as one who belongs to the kingdom of God. Speak as one who knows that divine substance is real. Speak as one who is learning to govern the tongue, not through fear of punishment, but through reverence for creation. If sleep begins to come, do not resist it. Let the words continue beneath the surface. Let the deeper mind listen. Let the old phrases fade. Let the new phrases become familiar. Let the mouth be purified in rest. Let the imagination be cleansed in quietness. Let the heart receive a new financial language. You are not required to remain tense in order to be transformed. The seed grows while the field is still. The word works while the body rests. Divine intelligence moves while man sleeps. Your word is your wand. It has shaped conditions before, sometimes unknowingly. Now it shall shape them consciously. It has repeated fear before, but now it shall repeat faith. It has described lack before, but now it shall declare supply. It has bowed to appearances before, but now it shall stand with truth. It has said, "I cannot," but now it shall say, "God can." It has said, "There is no way," but now it shall say, "Infinite intelligence knows the way." It has said, "I am behind," but now it shall say, "I am in divine order." It has said, "I am afraid," but now it shall say, "Divine love dissolves fear." A path in a field disappears when no feet walk there. So it is with old words. Stop walking the path of lack with your tongue. Stop giving it movement. Stop giving it breath. Let grass grow over the old road. Let a new road be made by right declaration. Walk that road softly, steadily, nightly, faithfully. The new road leads to peace. The new road leads to order. The new road leads to supply. The new road leads to the quiet confidence of one who speaks with God. The spoken word is not separate from action. It prepares right action. A person who speaks fear often acts in confusion. A person who speaks truth becomes receptive to guidance. The right word clears the fog. It does not excuse idleness. It dissolves panic so that true action may appear. When you say, "Infinite intelligence gives me the right idea," you become more able to receive the right idea. When you say, "Divine order governs my affairs," you become more able to notice the step that brings order. When you say, "My supply comes under grace," you cease frightening yourself long enough for the channel to be seen. This is why the mouth must stop merely reporting lack and begin declaring divine order. Reporting lack again and again is like sending messengers throughout the kingdom, announcing defeat before the battle has been rightly met. Declaring divine order is like sending messengers ahead to prepare the road for the king. Your word goes before you. It enters rooms before you enter them. It prepares minds before you speak to them. It shapes your own expectation before the event arrives. It tells the subconscious what to seek, what to accept, what to reject, and what to build. So let your word go before you tonight. Let it go before tomorrow. Let it go before every obligation. Let it go before every financial conversation. Let it go before every payment, every decision, every letter, every meeting, every piece of work, every need, every desire, every unknown path. Let the word spoken in faith go before you and make the way smooth. Let it say, divine order is here. Let it say, supply is here. Let it say, fear is dissolved. Let it say, the right channel is open. Let it say, the good appointed by divine love now comes to pass. In the old speech, one might say, I am broke. In the new speech, say, God is my unfailing supply. In the old speech, one might say, I cannot afford it. In the new speech, say, if it is mine by divine right, the supply appears under grace. In the old speech, one might say, money never stays. In the new speech, say, money is divine substance, blessed, ordered, and multiplied. In the old speech, one might say, nothing works for me. In the new speech, say, divine law works perfectly in my affairs. In the old speech, one might say, I am always behind. In the new speech, say, I am in divine timing, and every obligation is met under grace in perfect ways. Let this new speech become restful. It is not a task to exhaust you. It is a shelter to enter. It is a garden to sit in. It is a stream to drink from. Each right word cools the fever of fear. Each right word loosens the knot of anxiety. Each right word reminds the heart that it is not alone. Each right word carries the mind back to God as source. Each right word makes the subconscious less hospitable to lack and more receptive to supply. If you cannot yet believe fully, speak gently anyway. Faith often grows by hearing its own voice. The word may feel larger than the present feeling, but that is why it is needed. You do not speak the right word because fear has vanished. You speak the right word, and fear begins to vanish. You do not speak supply, because every coin is already visible. You speak supply, and the mind becomes ready for supply to appear. You do not speak divine order, because all affairs are already neat and settled. You speak divine order, and disorder begins to lose its authority. Let no word of lack go forth from your lips tonight. Let the night be pure. Let the last impression be blessed. If you must speak within yourself, speak softly and truly. God is my supply. My money is in divine order. My obligations are met under grace. My good comes to me now. I bless my purse. I bless my work. I bless every channel divine love selects. I speak only what I wish to see multiplied. My words are not servants of appearance. They are servants of truth. Now let a deeper stillness come. You have seen that the word is creative. You have seen that the subconscious receives repeated words. You have seen that fearful speech creates fearful patterns, and faithful speech prepares the way for divine supply. You have seen that to say, I cannot afford it, again and again is to command limitation, while to bless supply is to open the way. This awareness is not meant to burden you. It is meant to free you. For if words have been used unconsciously before, they can be used consciously now. If the tongue has once repeated lack, it can now declare plenty. If the mind has once accepted fear, it can now receive faith. And because the word is so powerful, there is one more gentle work to do before we move into the fuller declarations of wealth and supply. The old words must be cancelled. The false prophecies must be dissolved. The idle statements of lack, spoken in fear or habit, must be neutralized by the right recognition. We do not carry them forward. We do not let them govern the night. We do not let them stand as law over the purse, the home, the work, or the future. We bring them now into the light of divine truth, and by the right word we erase them. Now, before we go farther into the language of blessing, before we speak more fully of money as divine substance, before we place every coin, every bill, every obligation, and every channel under grace, let us pause in the quiet and do a gentle work of cleansing. For many have spoken against their own good without knowing what they were doing. Many have repeated the language of fear because it was the language spoken around them. Many have inherited phrases of lack, as one might inherit old furniture in a house, and they have kept those phrases in the mind long after they ceased to serve. Tonight we do not condemn the past, we correct it. Tonight we do not accuse the tongue, we consecrate it. Tonight we do not carry shame for words spoken in ignorance. We bring them into the light of truth, and truth makes all things new. Let the heart be very still as this is done. There is no need for harshness. Divine law is exact, but divine love is tender. The law shows man that his word is creative, and love shows him that a true word may cancel a false one. A wrong condition can be dissolved by right recognition. A false prophecy can be undone by the word of truth. A fearful sentence may have formed a pattern, but a faithful sentence can establish a new one. God is not waiting to punish you for old words. Infinite Spirit is waiting for you to turn from fear and agree with divine good. Perhaps you have said in weariness, I never have enough. Perhaps you have said money does not come to me. Perhaps you have said I am always struggling. Perhaps you have said I cannot get ahead. Perhaps you have said this debt will never be paid. Perhaps you have said there is no way. Perhaps you have spoken these words softly to yourself at night, or in conversation with another, or in a moment of discouragement when appearances seemed louder than God. Do not let the memory of those words trouble you now. They were spoken from fear, and fear is a false prophet. Fear foretells disaster because it cannot see divine law. Fear sees one small cloud and proclaims a storm. Fear sees one closed door and declares the whole house shut. Fear sees one delay and calls it denial. But fear is not your Lord. Fear is not your counselor. Fear is not your prophet now. I speak to you gently and I say, you may begin again. The mouth that once spoke fear may now speak faith. The mind that once accepted limitation may now accept divine plenty. The heart that once trembled before appearances may now rest in the inexhaustible good of God. You have not ruined your life by old words. You have not placed yourself beyond the reach of divine order. You have not spoken too much fear for truth to enter. My past words have no power against the right words spoken now. Let that become a quiet law within you. My past words have no power against the right words spoken now. Say it without strain. Let it sink into the deeper mind. My past words have no power against the right words spoken now. The false word is not stronger than the true word. Fear is not stronger than faith. Habit is not stronger than divine law. The old pattern is not stronger than the new command spoken in alignment with God. There may have been words spoken over you before you knew how to choose your own. Perhaps you heard, money is hard to get. Perhaps you heard, people like us never have much. Perhaps you heard, riches are for others. Perhaps you heard, it is safer to expect little. Perhaps you heard, do not hope too much. Perhaps you heard, life is a struggle, and one must always be afraid. These sayings may have passed from house to house, from generation to generation, from fearful lips to listening ears, but inherited fear is still fear. A family phrase is not divine law. An old saying is not the voice of God. A sentence repeated for many years does not become truth if it contradicts the abundance of infinite spirit. Tonight, you need not fight those voices. Simply withdraw your agreement. Say inwardly, I do not agree with fear. I agree with God. Let it be soft but final. I do not agree with fear. I agree with God. I do not agree with lack. I agree with divine supply. I do not agree with debt as master. I agree with divine order. I do not agree with limitation as my inheritance. I agree with the inexhaustible good of infinite spirit. I do not agree with old prophecies of poverty. I agree with the word of truth spoken now. This is a holy act of release. It does not require noise. It does not require struggle. It requires only a change of allegiance. The mind has sometimes been loyal to fear because fear spoke first. But now truth speaks. The mind has sometimes been loyal to appearances because appearances seemed near. But now divine law is nearer. The mind has sometimes been loyal to old family beliefs because they felt familiar. But now the soul remembers its true family, the household of God, where supply is not a rare thing, where good is not withheld, where every right desire is fulfilled under grace in perfect ways. Let the old financial prophecies come up gently if they come. Do not invite them with anxiety. Do not search the past with distress. But if a phrase rises, let it rise into the light. I am always behind. Money never stays. I cannot afford it. Nothing good happens for me. I always lose. It is too late. There is no one to help me. I must carry this alone. Let these phrases appear only to be dissolved. They are not coming to accuse you. They are coming to be released. Now over each one, speak the new word. I am always behind is now dissolved, and I declare I am in divine timing, and every obligation is met under grace in perfect ways. Money never stays is now dissolved, and I declare money is divine substance, blessed, ordered, circulated, and multiplied. I cannot afford it is now dissolved, and I declare, if it is mine by divine right, the supply appears under grace. If it is not mine, something better is given. Nothing good happens for me is now dissolved, and I declare, my good now comes to pass in expected and unexpected ways. I always lose is now dissolved, and I declare, there is no loss in divine mind. What belongs to me by divine right is restored, protected, and fulfilled. It is too late is now dissolved, and I declare, divine timing is perfect, and my good arrives at the appointed hour. There is no one to help me is now dissolved, and I declare, infinite love sends the right people, the right channels, and the right assistance at the right time. I must carry this alone is now dissolved, and I declare, I cast this burden upon the Christ within, and I go free. Let that last word linger. I cast this burden upon the Christ within, and I go free. The burden of wrong speech, the burden of old fear, the burden of inherited lack, the burden of anxious words, the burden of self-condemnation, the burden of regret, the burden of financial confusion, the burden of having spoken against your own good, all of it may now be cast upon the Christ within. You were not meant to drag the past behind you like a heavy chain. You were meant to be corrected, cleansed, lifted, and set free. Say now, slowly and inwardly, I cast the burden of wrong speech upon the Christ within, and I go free. Let the words be gentle. Let them enter the places where shame has lived. I cast the burden of wrong speech upon the Christ within, and I go free. I cast the burden of every fearful sentence upon the Christ within, and I go free. I cast the burden of every inherited belief of lack upon the Christ within, and I go free. I cast the burden of every false prophecy over my supply upon the Christ within, and I go free. You need not remember every word you have spoken wrongly. Divine intelligence remembers what must be corrected, and corrects it under grace. You need not search every year, every conversation, every fear, every careless phrase. That would only make the mind restless. Instead, place the whole matter under divine law. Say, every idle word of lack, known or unknown, remembered or forgotten, is now neutralized by the word of truth. Let that be enough. Divine law does not require you to suffer over each old sentence. It requires you to turn and speak rightly now. I now erase every false word I have spoken over my supply. I erase it not by force, not by fear, not by self-punishment, but by right recognition. I now erase every false word I have spoken over my money. I now erase every false word I have spoken over my work. I now erase every false word I have spoken over my opportunities. I now erase every false word I have spoken over my receiving. I now erase every false word I have spoken over my giving. I now erase every false word I have spoken over my future. I now erase every false word I have spoken over my divine design. Let the erasing feel like light moving across a page, not violence, not struggle, not shame. Simply light. The old writing fades, the old fear dissolves, the old decree loses form, the old sentence no longer governs. The page of the subconscious is not ruined, it is being cleansed. A new word may be written, a true word, a blessed word, a word of supply, order, peace, and divine plenty. Every prophecy of lack is now dissolved and replaced by divine plenty. Let that sentence move through the deeper mind. Every prophecy of lack is now dissolved and replaced by divine plenty. Every prophecy of debt as master is now dissolved and replaced by divine order. Every prophecy of delay is now dissolved and replaced by divine timing. Every prophecy of loss is now dissolved and replaced by divine restoration. Every prophecy of insufficiency is now dissolved and replaced by divine supply. Every prophecy of closed doors is now dissolved and replaced by divine openings. Every prophecy of helplessness is now dissolved and replaced by divine guidance. This is the cleansing of the mouth and mind. The mouth is cleansed as it stops repeating fear. The mind is cleansed as it stops agreeing with fear. The heart is cleansed as it stops believing that old words are stronger than God. You may feel a deep relief as this is done. You may feel the body soften. You may feel that the old financial story is not so tightly wrapped around you. That is good. Let it loosen. Let it fall. Let divine love remove it without struggle. Some have lived under the spell of one phrase for many years. A parent said, "Money is the root of trouble," and the child grew into a person who feared prosperity. Another heard, "We can never afford good things," and the mind learned to expect denial. Another heard, "You must work yourself to exhaustion to survive," and the body believed that rest was dangerous. Another heard, "People with money are selfish," and so the soul felt guilty receiving. These are not spiritual truths. They are wounded interpretations. They are human fear made into doctrine. Tonight, they are dissolved. Money is not your enemy. Supply is not your enemy. Receiving is not your enemy. Rest is not your enemy. Good is not your enemy. Divine abundance does not make you less spiritual. When governed by divine love, supply becomes a blessing. When directed by divine wisdom, money serves the good. When received under grace, prosperity harms no one. It allows right giving, right action, right service, right expression, and right peace. Therefore, do not agree with the inherited fear that says lack is safer than supply. I do not agree with fear. I agree with God. If any part of you feels shame for desiring supply, release that shame now. Need is not sin. Desire for right provision is not greed. To wish to pay what you owe, to live in order, to give generously, to work peacefully, to sleep without dread, to bless others, to express your gifts, to have enough and more than enough for your divine appointments. This is not selfishness. This is divine order. What must be cleansed is not the desire for supply, but the fear, guilt, and wrong speech surrounding it. Let us therefore cancel every word that made money seem unholy. Every word that called supply dangerous is now dissolved. Every word that called receiving selfish is now dissolved. Every word that called prosperity impossible is now dissolved. Every word that made poverty appear virtuous is now dissolved. Every word that made struggle appear noble in itself is now dissolved. Divine love is not glorified by needless lack. Infinite spirit is not honored by fear. God's abundance is not diminished by your receiving what is yours by divine right. Now bring to mind softly the idea of your purse, your wallet, your drawer, your account book, your bills, your obligations, your work, your home, your table, your future. Do not strain to see them clearly. Let them be symbols. Each one has perhaps received words of fear before. Tonight, each one receives a new word. Your purse is no longer under a prophecy of emptiness. It is under divine supply. Your obligations are no longer under a prophecy of burden. They are under divine order. Your work is no longer under a prophecy of strain. It is under perfect self-expression. Your future is no longer under a prophecy of uncertainty. It is under divine guidance. Your money is no longer under a prophecy of loss. It is under grace, blessed and multiplied in perfect ways. I now speak over every financial symbol in your life. Be cleansed of fear. Be cleansed of resentment. Be cleansed of guilt. Be cleansed of old words. Be cleansed of inherited beliefs. Be cleansed of anxious handling. Be restored to divine order. Be blessed as an instrument of divine substance. Be governed by infinite intelligence. Be used in wisdom, received in gratitude, circulated in faith, and multiplied under grace. Let this be a baptism of your financial life, not with water, but with the word. Every old name is removed. Debt is no longer named terror. It is named adjusted under grace. Bills are no longer named enemies. They are named opportunities for divine order. Money is no longer named master. It is named servant of divine law. Work is no longer named desperation. It is named channel of divine expression. Receiving is no longer named guilt. It is named acceptance of God's good. Giving is no longer named loss. It is named circulation. The future is no longer named fear. It is named divine appointment. How gently the soul can begin again when it knows this. You need not repair the past by worry. You need not punish yourself for words spoken in ignorance. You need not say, I have ruined things. That sentence too must be cancelled. Say instead, nothing is ruined in divine mind. All things are now restored to right order. You need not say, I have spoken too much fear. Say instead, the right word spoken now has power, and my past words are dissolved. You need not say, I cannot change. Say instead, divine law is working in me, and my speech is now renewed. The right word spoken in faith cancels the wrong pattern and opens the way. Let this be your comfort. The right word spoken in faith cancels the wrong pattern and opens the way, not because the word is magic, but because truth is higher than error. Light is not required to wrestle with darkness for many years. It shines, and darkness yields. A true word is light in the mind. It may be repeated, nourished, and trusted, but it does not need to apologize to fear. It simply shines. If the mind says, but what about all the times I complained? Answer, they are now dissolved by divine truth. If the mind says, but I have spoken lack for years? Answer, a new word is now established under grace. If the mind says, but I learned fear from those before me? Answer, I bless them, release them, and choose divine law now. If the mind says, but I do not yet believe fully? Answer, the word is planted, and faith grows by repetition. If the mind says, but appearances have not changed? Answer, the invisible pattern is changing now, and form must follow under grace. There is no shame in learning. There is no shame in correcting the word. There is no shame in discovering that one has spoken under the influence of fear. Shame belongs to the old order. Awareness belongs to the new. You are not here to be ashamed. You are here to be awakened. Once awakened, you speak differently. Once you speak differently, the subconscious receives a new instruction. Once the subconscious receives a new instruction, your outer world begins to adjust according to the new mold. Let your mouth be blessed now. Imagine, if you will, that the lips themselves are touched by divine light. They no longer belong to complaint. They no longer belong to fear. They no longer belong to the old family prophecy. They no longer belong to the language of impossibility. They belong to truth. They belong to blessing. They belong to divine order. They belong to the word that creates after the pattern of God. Let your mind be blessed now. The mind no longer has to rehearse lack before sleep. It no longer has to count missing coins in the dark. It no longer has to repeat tomorrow's fear as though repetition could protect it. The mind may become a sanctuary. It may hold the words of truth. It may receive divine ideas. It may rest in the knowledge that infinite intelligence knows all channels and all timing. Let your memory be blessed now. The past is not a storehouse of condemnation. It is a field from which wisdom may be gathered. If you remember old words, you do not return to them as a prisoner. You see them and say, "That was fear speaking. I do not agree with fear. I agree with God." If you remember someone else's old words, you do not curse them. You bless them and release them. Perhaps they too spoke from fear. Perhaps they too inherited limitation. You need not carry it onward. You may let the chain end in you. You may speak a new word and begin a new inheritance. Let your future be blessed now. It does not have to obey the sentences of the past. It does not have to unfold according to old fear. It does not have to repeat the financial patterns of your family, your history, your mistakes, or your former expectations. The future is plastic to divine law. When consciousness is renewed, it listens for the words spoken now. Therefore speak over it with peace. My future is under divine order. My supply is sure. My good comes to me under grace. I am guided, provided for, protected, and blessed. The night deepens, and with it the opportunity to cleanse the deeper mind. Let the old words go down no more into the subconscious. Let them be stopped at the gate. Let the angel of truth stand at the gate and say, "No prophecy of lack may enter here tonight. Let no word of fear be carried into sleep. Let no inherited sentence of limitation be planted in the night soil. Let no financial shame be taken to bed like a companion. You are not sleeping with fear tonight. You are sleeping under grace." Say quietly, "I now erase every false word I have spoken over my supply." Again, I now erase every false word I have spoken over my supply. I cast the burden of wrong speech upon the Christ within, and I go free. Again, I cast the burden of wrong speech upon the Christ within, and I go free. Every prophecy of lack is now dissolved and replaced by divine plenty. Again, every prophecy of lack is now dissolved and replaced by divine plenty. I do not agree with fear. I agree with God. Again, I do not agree with fear. I agree with God. My past words have no power against the right words spoken now. Again, my past words have no power against the right words spoken now. Let the repetition be peaceful. You are not trying to convince a hostile universe. You are instructing a receptive mind. You are not begging God to undo something impossible. You are aligning with the law that has always been ready to respond. You are not fighting the past. You are withdrawing life from it. What is not fed must fade. What is not repeated must weaken. What is no longer believed must dissolve, and what is spoken in faith begins to grow. There is a quiet dignity in cancelling the old word. You become no longer the echo of fear, but the voice of truth. You become no longer the child of old limitation, but the speaker of a new order. You become no longer one who unconsciously names lack, but one who consciously names supply. The change may begin softly, but do not underestimate softness. Dawn begins softly, yet it ends the night. Now bless even the part of you that was afraid. Do not condemn it. It was trying to protect you with the only language it knew. Bless the fearful mind, and give it a new language. Bless the anxious heart, and give it a new rhythm. Bless the tired body, and give it permission to rest. Bless the old self that spoke lack, and let it be transformed. Say, "I bless the one I have been, and I release every word that no longer belongs to my divine design." You are not divided against yourself now. You are being gathered into one agreement. The mouth, the mind, the heart, the memory, the body, the expectation, all are being brought under divine order. No more saying one thing and fearing another all night. No more declaring supply and then secretly worshipping lack. No more praying for abundance and speaking impossibility. No more blessing God and cursing your own purse. A new agreement is being formed. I do not agree with fear. I agree with God. Let this agreement become restful. It is not stern. It is not heavy. It is clear. It is clean. It is like opening a window in a room long closed. The air changes. The atmosphere changes. The words change. The mind receives a new freshness. Something in the soul says, "I can begin again. I can speak differently. I can bless what I once feared. I can release what I once repeated. I can let divine law govern my financial life." Every wrong condition can be dissolved by right recognition. This does not mean one ignores what must be handled. It means one handles it from truth instead of fear. A bill may still be paid, but it is no longer called a curse. A debt may still be arranged, but it is no longer called impossible. A need may still be met, but it is no longer called panic. A decision may still be made, but it is no longer made under the whip of terror. The condition is brought under divine order by the word, and then right action follows in peace. If tomorrow brings a financial matter before you, you need not return to the old prophecy. You may say, "This is under divine order." If a person speaks limitation near you, you need not accept it. You may silently say, "I do not agree with fear, I agree with God." If a letter arrives with an obligation, you may bless it. If a payment leaves your hand, you may bless it. If money comes to you, you may bless it. If a delay appears, you may speak divine timing. The mouth has been cleansed for blessing. Tonight let the cleansing go deeper than words. Let the feeling of old lack be cleansed. Let the bodily habit of fear be cleansed. Let the tightening in the chest when money is mentioned be cleansed. Let the shrinking of the spirit before figures and obligations be cleansed. Let the old expectation of bad news be cleansed. Let the suspicion of good be cleansed. Let the fear of receiving be cleansed. Let the fear of losing be cleansed. Divine love moves through every hidden place and makes it clean. There is no past word too dark for truth to dissolve. There is no inherited belief too old for divine law to correct. There is no financial shame too deep for the Christ within to lift. There is no false prophecy too strong for the right word spoken now. The right word is alive. The right word carries divine authority. The right word opens a new channel in consciousness. The right word is a lamp, a key, a seed, a cleansing fire, a quiet command. Now, softly, let the final old words be gathered. All words of lack, gathered. All words of fear, gathered. All words of shame, gathered. All words of guilt, gathered. All words of resentment toward money, gathered. All words of despair about work, gathered. All words of anxiety about bills, gathered. All words of defeat about the future, gathered. All words inherited from frightened minds, gathered. All careless jokes against prosperity, gathered. All silent agreements with poverty, gathered. All false prophecies over the purse, gathered. And now, placed upon the Christ within. I cast this burden on the Christ within, and I go free. I cast this burden on the Christ within, and I go free. I cast this burden on the Christ within, and I go free. I cast this burden on the Christ within, and I go free. Let the freedom be quiet. Let it not startle you. Let it come like warmth beneath a door. Let it come like light behind closed eyes. Let it come like the first deep breath after long tension. You are free to speak differently. You are free to expect differently. You are free to bless money. You are free to receive supply. You are free to let old words die. You are free to let new words live. And now, where every false word once stood, place divine plenty. Where lack was named, name supply. Where debt was feared, name order. Where money was cursed, name blessing. Where receiving was resisted, name grace. Where giving was feared, name circulation. Where tomorrow was dreaded, name divine timing. Where the future was darkened, name divine light. Where the purse was called empty, name divine substance. Where the self was called unworthy, name the child of God. I now erase every false word I have spoken over my supply, and I write the word of divine plenty in its place. I now erase every false word I have spoken over my money, and I write the word of divine order in its place. I now erase every false word I have spoken over my work, and I write the word of perfect expression in its place. I now erase every false word I have spoken over my future, and I write the word of divine guidance in its place. I now erase every false word I have spoken over my receiving, and I write the word of grace in its place. It is done in the invisible first. The visible follows. The correction begins in consciousness. The outer condition must answer in time. Do not dig up the seed by asking anxiously whether it has worked. Do not return to the old phrase to see if it still has power. Let it go. Sleep as one who has cancelled an old debt of speech. Sleep as one whose mouth has been washed in truth. Sleep as one who no longer gives fear the final word. The false prophecies are dissolved. The inherited beliefs of lack are dissolved. The careless jokes against supply are dissolved. The repeated phrases of impossibility are dissolved. The fearful names given to money are dissolved. The shame around receiving is dissolved. The anxiety around giving is dissolved. The old agreement with limitation is dissolved. In its place stands a new word, clean and bright. God is my unfailing supply, and my financial life is now in divine order. Let the new word be simple now. God is my unfailing supply. My financial life is in divine order. God is my unfailing supply. My financial life is in divine order. God is my unfailing supply. My financial life is in divine order. God is my unfailing supply. My financial life is in divine order. Let it move down into sleep. Let it replace old language. Let it become the rhythm beneath thought. Let it become the quiet instruction of the subconscious. Let it become the atmosphere of the night. Now the mouth is ready to bless. The mind is ready to bless. The heart is ready to bless. The old prophecies have been released, and a new financial language may be spoken. From this place of cleansing, we do not fear money, curse money, clutch money, or call money unclean. We bless every form of supply. We bless what comes in, and we bless what goes out. We bless every coin, every note, every payment, every obligation, every gift, every channel, every right exchange. For money, when seen rightly, is divine substance in visible form, and what is blessed under grace may be multiplied in perfect ways. Now that the old words have been gathered and released, now that the false prophecies have been brought into the light and dissolved, let us speak of money with a clean mouth and a quiet heart. Let us take this word that has so often been surrounded by fear, guilt, confusion, longing, resentment, pride, shame, and anxiety, and let us return it to its right place. Money is not God. Money is not the source. Money is not master. Money is not enemy. Money is not unclean. Money is not to be worshipped, and money is not to be cursed. Money is one form of divine substance made visible for use, exchange, blessing, order, service, and right expression. When man fears money, he gives it a false throne. When man worships money, he gives it a false throne. When man hates money, he gives it a false throne. When man clutches money in terror, he gives it a false throne. But when man blesses money as divine substance in visible form, he restores it to its proper place. It becomes a servant of divine law. It becomes an instrument, not a ruler. It becomes something to be handled with wisdom, peace, gratitude, and right declaration. It is then no longer a tyrant in the imagination. It is no longer a shadow across the heart. It is no longer a thing that must be chased or dreaded. It is a symbol of supply, and supply belongs to God. Let this thought enter softly. Money is divine substance in visible form, not because the coin itself is God, not because the note itself is sacred apart from its use, not because any material thing should be adored, but because all true supply has its origin in infinite spirit. The form may be small, the form may be large, the form may come through one channel today and another tomorrow, but the substance behind the form is spiritual. When you understand this, you cease handling money as though it were a dangerous thing, and you begin handling it as a steward of divine good. There is a sacred tenderness that comes when fear leaves the hand. Many touch money with dread. They receive it, and immediately fear losing it. They pay it, and immediately feel diminished. They count it, and immediately compare it with what seems missing. They place it away, and still do not feel safe. They speak of it with complaint, then wonder why it does not remain in peace. But the awakened person touches money differently. They do not tremble before it. They do not despise it. They do not cling to it as though God had no more. They bless it. They say this money is divine substance blessed and multiplied under grace. Say it gently now if you wish, or let the words be spoken for you while you rest. This money is divine substance blessed and multiplied under grace. This money is divine substance, blessed and multiplied under grace. This money is divine substance, blessed and multiplied under grace. Let the sentence purify the feeling around money. Let it cleanse the old fear in the fingers. Let it cleanse the old guilt in the heart. Let it cleanse the old suspicion in the mind. Let money be returned to the atmosphere of blessing. What you bless, you free. What you bless, you lift out of fear. What you bless, you place under divine order. What you bless, you no longer meet as an enemy. What you bless cannot diminish you, because blessing is agreement with God. When you bless money, you are not worshipping it. You are declaring its rightful nature as a servant of good. You are saying, you are not my source, but you are one form through which supply may appear. You are not my master, but you are governed by divine law. You are not a burden, but an instrument. You are not to be feared, but blessed, directed, circulated, and multiplied under grace. I bless every coin, every note, every payment, every gift. I bless the money that comes. I bless the money that goes. I bless the money that rests. I bless the money that circulates. I bless the money that pays, the money that feeds, the money that clothes, the money that shelters, the money that serves, the money that gives comfort, the money that opens right doors, the money that fulfills right obligations, the money that supports right work, the money that allows generosity, the money that appears through expected and unexpected channels under grace. Let no part of money be left outside blessing. Some bless only what comes in and curse what goes out. Some bless the gift but curse the bill. Some bless the wage but curse the price. Some bless the coin in the hand but curse the obligation waiting to be met. This divides the flow in consciousness, but divine substance is one. The incoming and the outgoing are both to be placed under grace. Money comes to me under grace and goes from me under grace. Let this be a law in the mind. Money comes to me under grace and goes from me under grace. Money comes with blessing, and it goes 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 with blessing. Without need find of pansa prida. Money arrives in divine order, and it departs in divine order. Money enters as supply, and it leaves as service, payment, gratitude, order, and circulation. Do not say this money is leaving me. Say this money is going forth to bless, and it returns under grace in perfect ways. Do not say this payment takes from me. Say this payment is placed under divine order, and cannot diminish my supply. Do not say I hate to pay. Say I bless this payment, and release it in faith. Do not say now I have less. Say divine substance is inexhaustible, and what I bless cannot diminish me. The spiritual attitude toward money matters. The outer act may look the same, but the inner law may be entirely different. One person pays in fear and feels robbed. Another pays in faith and feels ordered. One person receives and feels suspicious, wondering how soon it will vanish. Another receives and gives thanks, knowing that the source remains full. One person saves in terror, believing money must be hidden from a hostile world. Another saves in wisdom, blessing what is set aside, and knowing that divine order governs all. One person gives with guilt, and silently resents the giving. Another gives under grace, guided by divine love, and the act becomes a channel of increase. It is not the coin alone that determines the condition, it is the consciousness that touches it. Money handled with fear seems to carry fear forward. Money handled with blessing becomes part of a blessed order. Money spoken over with resentment seems to flee from peace. Money spoken over with gratitude becomes welcome in consciousness. The hand may touch the same note, but the word makes the atmosphere. Therefore, handle money with peace. If you have often touched money with dread, do not accuse yourself. Simply begin again. The old habit can be changed. The hand can learn blessing. The heart can learn trust. The mouth can learn the right word. The purse can become a symbol of supply rather than a reminder of fear. The bill can become a call to divine order rather than a trumpet of panic. The act of receiving can become a thanksgiving rather than a suspicion. The act of paying can become circulation rather than loss. Imagine now, softly, a coin resting in the palm of your hand. Do not think of its amount. Do not measure its power by its size. See it simply as a symbol of divine substance in form. Around it you have perhaps placed many thoughts before: worry, need, fear, comparison, desire, guilt, anger, longing. Now withdraw those burdens from it. A coin was never meant to carry the whole weight of your fear. A note was never meant to be your God. A purse was never meant to be your source. Let the coin be only what it is, a visible sign of substance moving through the world, ready to be blessed, directed, and multiplied under grace. Speak to it inwardly. This money is divine substance, blessed and multiplied under grace. Let the coin be lifted in consciousness. Let the old fear leave it. Let the thought of lack leave it. Let the dread of losing leave it. Let the guilt of needing leave it. Bless it. Bless its source. Bless its use. Bless its return. Bless its movement. Bless every hand through which it passes when it is used rightly. Bless the good it may accomplish. Bless the order it may establish. Bless the peace it may support. Bless the gratitude it may awaken. Now imagine a note, folded perhaps, resting quietly. It too has heard many words from many hands. It has moved through worry and desire, business and service, need and exchange. But in your consciousness now, it is restored to divine order. It is not dirty. It is not shameful. It is not to be feared. It is an instrument. It may buy bread. It may pay a debt. It may support a home. It may be given in love. It may serve a right purpose. It may return multiplied through channels unknown to the human mind. Bless it. Say this money is divine substance, blessed and multiplied under grace. I bless every coin. I bless every note. I bless every payment. I bless every gift. I bless every lawful and right exchange. I bless the money that has come to me in the past. I bless the money that comes to me now. I bless the money that is on its way to me under grace. I bless the money that will pass through my hands in days to come. I bless it before it appears. I bless it while it appears. I bless it as it circulates. I bless it as it returns. Do you feel how different this is from fear? Fear narrows the body. Blessing opens it. Fear clutches the hand. Blessing softens it. Fear speaks as though there is only one small storehouse in all the universe. Blessing remembers the inexhaustible storehouse of God. Fear says, hold, 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 or you will lose. Blessing says, God is my source, and what is rightly released under grace returns in right ways. Fear says, this is all. Blessing says, this is one form of infinite substance. Fear says, there will be no more. Blessing says, my supply is sure, for infinite spirit is inexhaustible. I do not fear money. I govern it by the right word. Let this be established. I do not fear money. I govern it by the right word. I do not worship money. I govern it by the right word. I do not hate money. I govern it by the right word. I do not clutch money. I bless it, direct it, receive it, use it, give it, pay it, and circulate it under divine law. Money is not master. Money is not enemy. Money is not source. Money is a servant of divine law, and my word places it under grace. There are those who treat money as though it was stronger than God. They say money decides whether I shall have peace. They say money decides whether I shall sleep. They say money decides whether I shall be free. They say money decides whether my life opens or closes. This is bondage. Money has been placed upon a throne where it does not belong. Then they fear its absence and fear its presence. They are uneasy when it is little, and uneasy when it is much. They have not yet blessed it into its proper order. When money is placed under divine law, it becomes quieter, not because the paper changes, not because the coin changes, but because consciousness changes. You cease asking money to be your God. You cease asking it to give you your identity. You cease asking it to prove your worth. You cease asking it to decide your safety. God is your safety. Infinite spirit is your supply. Divine love is your peace. Money is only an obedient instrument when handled by a peaceful mind and governed by the right word. Let every old fear around receiving be blessed now. Some receive money and immediately feel a shadow. Will I lose it? Do I deserve it? Must I hide it? Will someone take it? Should I feel guilty? These thoughts are not gratitude. They are resistance. Receive with thanksgiving. Receive as a steward. Receive as one who knows that all good comes from God and is used under divine direction. When money comes to you, do not let the first word be fear. Let the first word be blessing. I receive this under grace. I bless it. I use it wisely. I circulate it rightly. I give thanks to God as my source. Let every old fear around spending be blessed now. Some spend with dread, and the heart tightens as though every payment were a wound. But there is a right spending, a guided spending, a blessed spending, a peaceful meeting of right needs. When money goes out under divine order, it is not chaos, it is not loss, it is movement, it is service, it is exchange, it is proof that supply has taken form and is being used. Say, money comes to me under grace, and goes from me under grace. What I bless cannot diminish me. Let every old fear around giving be blessed now. Giving is not to be done from guilt. Giving is not to be done from superstition. Giving is not to be done to impress man. Giving is not to be done in fear of punishment. Giving is an act of divine circulation when guided by love. It is a joy when it is right. It is peaceful when it is ordered. It does not drain the one who gives under grace. It opens consciousness to the movement of supply. Bless what you give. Bless whom you give to. Bless the source that provided it. Bless the return, not as a bargain, but as law. Let every old fear around saving be blessed now. Saving under divine order is not hoarding. Wisdom is not fear. Order is not lack. It is possible to set money aside peacefully, with blessing, as one places seed in a good field. Money saved in fear seems locked in anxiety. Money saved with wisdom is blessed as part of divine order. Say, this money is blessed, protected, directed, and multiplied under grace. It serves the divine plan of my life. Let every old fear around owing be blessed now. A debt is not your master. An obligation is not your God. It is a condition to be placed under divine order. Fear magnifies it. Shame darkens it. Avoidance confuses it. The right word brings it into the light. Say, this obligation is now under grace. Divine intelligence shows the right way. Divine substance provides the right means. Every debt is paid in divine order, and I go free. Do not curse the obligation. Bless the adjustment. Do not call it impossible. Call it governed by divine law. I bless every coin, every note, every payment, every gift. Let this become almost like breathing. I bless every coin, every note, every payment, every gift. I bless the known money and the unknown money. I bless the visible supply and the invisible supply. I bless the money in my hand and the money on its way. I bless the money I receive and the money I release. I bless the little and I bless the much. I bless the beginning and I bless the increase. I bless the present form and I bless the infinite source behind it. There is a great spiritual secret in blessing what appears small. Many wait to bless abundance until abundance appears large. But the one who blesses the small has understood the law of multiplication. A seed is small. A beginning is small. A coin may be small. A first payment may be small. A first idea may be small. But divine law does not measure by outward size. It responds to the consciousness placed upon the thing. If you curse the small, you close the door to the large. If you despise the little, you fail to recognize the pattern of the much. If you bless the little as divine substance, you open the way for increase. Therefore, do not say, "It is only a little." Say, "This is divine substance and I bless it." Do not say, "This is not enough." Say, "This is blessed and multiplied under grace." Do not say, "This small amount means nothing." Say, "Divine substance is present here, and what is blessed may increase." Do not despise beginnings. Do not despise the first coin, the first order, the first payment, the first gift, the first sign of movement. Bless it. The blessing may be the very thing that opens the next channel. What I bless cannot diminish me. Let this enter deeply. What I bless cannot diminish me. If I bless the money I receive, it cannot make me fearful. If I bless the money I release, it cannot leave me impoverished. If I bless the obligation before me, it cannot remain a terror. If I bless the channel that closes, it cannot rob me of my divine right. If I bless the right channel before it appears, it must come under grace. Blessing removes the sting of fear and restores the condition to divine order. There is no need to speak to money harshly. There is no need to command it with anxiety. The right word is not a cry of desperation. It is a statement of law. Say it with peace. This money is divine substance, blessed and multiplied under grace. Say it as one who knows God is the source. Say it as one who understands that money is a servant, not a master. Say it as one who has no quarrel with supply. Say it as one who receives with gratitude and releases with trust. If money has frightened you in the past, let it be healed in consciousness now. See yourself touching money calmly. See yourself receiving it without guilt. See yourself paying with blessing. See yourself giving with joy. See yourself saving with wisdom. See yourself counting without fear. See yourself looking upon your obligations without shrinking. See yourself saying, "All is under divine order." This inner picture prepares the way for outer peace. The subconscious learns not only by words but by feeling and image. Give it a new atmosphere. Let the atmosphere around money become quiet, clean, luminous, and ordered. No panic, no worship, no resentment, no shame, no childish dependence, no fearful superstition, only sacred stewardship. You are a steward of divine substance. You do not own the source. You cooperate with it. You do not command God. You align with divine law. You do not clutch the form. You bless the flow. You do not fear the movement. You trust the inexhaustible good behind it. Money comes to me under grace and goes from me under grace. Let this phrase be received slowly. Money comes to me under grace and goes from me under grace. It comes by right channels. It goes to right uses. It comes without fear. It goes without loss. It comes as supply. It goes as service. It comes with blessing. It goes with blessing. It comes in divine timing. It goes in divine order. It comes through infinite intelligence. It goes under divine direction. Think how much peace would enter the world if man no longer touched money with fear. Think how many homes would be lighter if every payment were blessed. Think how many hearts would sleep more gently if every coin were seen as divine substance rather than as the measure of one's worth. Think how many minds would be freed if they no longer said, "I am nothing without money," or "I am unsafe without money," or "I am guilty with money." God is your worth. God is your safety. God is your supply. Money is an instrument, and instruments must be blessed and used rightly. I do not fear money. I govern it by the right word. I do not fear receiving. I receive under grace. I do not fear giving. I give under grace. I do not fear paying. I pay under grace. I do not fear saving. I save under grace. I do not fear using money. I use it under divine direction. I do not fear looking at my financial affairs. I look with divine wisdom. I do not fear increase. I accept increase as part of divine order. I do not fear responsibility. Infinite intelligence guides me in all right action. Let every coin become a little messenger of blessing in your imagination. Let every note become a reminder of divine substance. Let every payment become a chance to speak the right word. Let every gift become a sign of circulation. Let every sum received become a call to gratitude. Let every obligation become an invitation to divine order. Let every financial matter be lifted from the realm of fear and placed in the realm of blessing. If you were to hold money tomorrow, or see it, or write an amount, or pay an obligation, or receive a sum, or remember a financial matter, let this be your first inward movement, blessing. Before fear can speak, bless. Before the old habit says not enough, bless. Before the body tightens, bless. Before the mind calculates disaster, bless. Before complaint forms, bless. Blessing is not weakness. Blessing is spiritual authority clothed in love. Say, I bless this money. Say, I bless its coming. Say, I bless its going. Say, I bless its return. Say, I bless its right use. Say, I bless its increase. Say, I bless the source from which all supply flows. Say, I bless every channel divine love selects. Say, I bless my own mind to receive, direct and circulate this money wisely. In this way, you train consciousness to meet money in peace. The more peace you bring to money, the more clearly you can hear guidance. Fear is noisy. Fear says, spend now, or never spend, or give to be approved, or withhold to be safe, or take because there may be no more. Divine wisdom is quieter. It says, this is right. It says, wait. It says, give. It says, keep. It says, pay. It says, ask. It says, release. It says, receive. But the fearful mind cannot hear clearly. Therefore, blessing money is also a way of quieting the mind, so that right action can appear. You may have thought money was only a material subject, but every subject becomes spiritual when brought under divine law. Eating may be spiritual when blessed. Work may be spiritual when aligned with perfect self-expression. Speech may be spiritual when it declares truth. Rest may be spiritual when it is taken in faith. Money too may be spiritual when it is understood as divine substance in form, used under divine direction, received with gratitude, and circulated with blessing. This does not make you careless, it makes you wiser. A person who blesses money does not throw it away. A person who blesses money does not idolize it. A person who blesses money does not lie about conditions. A person who blesses money handles it more clearly, because fear is no longer clouding judgment. Blessing brings order. Blessing brings reverence. Blessing brings the mind into cooperation with infinite intelligence. Let your whole financial atmosphere be blessed now. The place where money is kept, blessed. The place where obligations are recorded, blessed. The work through which money comes, blessed. The hands that receive, blessed. The hands that give, blessed. The voice that speaks of money, blessed. The thoughts that arise around money, blessed. The memory of past financial mistakes, blessed and released. The expectation of future supply, blessed and strengthened. The present moment, blessed and ordered. Perhaps you have felt tenderness toward many things, but not toward money. Perhaps money has seemed cold, hard, practical, separate from love. But when seen through divine law, money may be handled with tenderness because it serves life. It feeds, shelters, clothes, supports, heals, educates, transports, relieves, gives, builds, repairs, protects, and opens many right doors when under divine direction. It is not love itself, but it can be used by love. It is not wisdom itself, but it can be directed by wisdom. It is not God, but it may be a form through which God's supply is expressed. Therefore, do not scorn it. What you scorn, you repel. Do not worship it. What you worship falsely, you fear losing. Do not clutch it. What you clutch in fear cannot move freely. Do not speak against it. What you curse cannot bless you. Bless it, and place it under God. Bless it, and use it in wisdom. Bless it, and receive it in gratitude. Bless it, and release it without dread. Bless it, and let it multiply under grace. This money is divine substance blessed and multiplied under grace. Let it be spoken over the smallest coin and the largest sum. Let it be spoken over money seen and unseen. Let it be spoken over money needed and money received. Let it be spoken over payments due and payments made. Let it be spoken over gifts given and gifts accepted. Let it be spoken over every lawful exchange. Let it be spoken until the phrase itself carries peace into the body. I bless every coin, every note, every payment, every gift. I bless every coin with gratitude. I bless every note with peace. I bless every payment with trust. I bless every gift with joy. I bless every obligation with divine order. I bless every incoming channel with thanksgiving. I bless every outgoing channel with faith. I bless every unseen channel with expectancy. I bless the circulation of divine substance in my life. Money comes to me under grace and goes from me under grace. Money comes not as an accident, but as part of divine supply. Money goes not as a loss, but as part of divine circulation. Money comes by right channels. Money goes to right uses. Money comes with blessing. Money goes with blessing. Money comes to serve the divine plan. Money goes to fulfill divine order. What I bless cannot diminish me. Let the heart rest in that now. What I bless cannot diminish me. Blessing does not make you poorer. Blessing aligns you with the source. Gratitude does not empty the purse. Gratitude opens consciousness to more good. Peace does not weaken practical action. Peace makes action wise. Trust does not ignore obligation. Trust brings obligation under divine order. Reverence does not make money master. Reverence makes you a faithful steward. The old state touched money with dread. The new state touches money with blessing. The old state spent with guilt. The new state releases with trust. The old state received with suspicion. The new state receives with gratitude. The old state feared looking at money. The new state places money under divine order. The old state said, "Will there be enough?" The new state says, "Infinite spirit is inexhaustible, and my supply comes under grace." The old state said, "Money controls me." The new state says, "I do not fear money. I govern it by the right word." Let the new state be gentle. You need not force yourself to feel rich in a harsh or unnatural way. You need only begin to feel blessed, guided, supplied, and peaceful. Let the nervous system learn that money can be mentioned without fear. Let the heart learn that receiving can be clean. Let the hand learn that paying can be blessed. Let the mind learn that divine substance cannot be exhausted. Let the subconscious learn a new association. Money, blessing, money order, money grace, money gratitude, money circulation, money divine law. This new association is very important in the night, for the deeper mind often carries old sensations long after the conscious mind has chosen new words. It may still feel a tightening when money is remembered. It may still expect loss when money moves. It may still feel guilt when good arrives. Therefore, we speak gently and often. We bless repeatedly. We place money in the atmosphere of peace again and again until the deeper mind is persuaded that supply is safe, that receiving is safe, that blessing is safe, that divine order is safe. There is no need to hurry this. Transformation is often quiet. A great change may begin with a small blessing faithfully spoken. A whole financial atmosphere may begin to shift when one stops cursing money and starts blessing it. A person may not notice at once that the old dread is weaker, that the old complaint rises less often, that the old panic has less authority. Then one day, a bill is paid with peace, a sum is received with gratitude, a coin is blessed without effort, a need is met without strain, and the soul realizes that money has been returned to its proper place. Let money be returned now to its proper place in your consciousness. Not above God, not against God, not apart from God, not as master, not as enemy, not as proof of worth, not as measure of safety, but as divine substance in visible form, moving through right channels, governed by divine law, directed by infinite intelligence, blessed by the spoken word, used in wisdom, received in gratitude, released in faith, and multiplied under grace. I bless every coin, every note, every payment, every gift. I bless every coin that has ever passed through my hands. I bless every note I once feared losing. I bless every gift I once received with uncertainty. I bless every sum I once misused and release the memory under grace. I bless every opportunity to learn wisdom. I bless every future sum before it appears. I bless every channel before it opens. I bless every right transaction before it is made. I bless every obligation before it is met. I bless every increase before it is visible. And no guilt remains in this blessing. Guilt is not humility. Panic is not reverence. Fear is not wisdom. True humility says, God is the source, and I am grateful. True reverence says, this substance is to be used rightly. True wisdom says, infinite intelligence guides me in all financial affairs. True faith says, what is mine by divine right comes under grace, and what leaves me under grace returns in perfect ways. If you have ever felt that money was somehow unspiritual, let that belief be cleansed now. It is fear that distorts supply. It is greed that distorts money. It is guilt that distorts receiving. It is pride that distorts possession. But money itself, placed under divine law, becomes an instrument. A cup may carry clear water or bitter water. The cup is not the issue. The consciousness using it determines its service. Let your consciousness be clear. Let your use be blessed. Let your receiving be grateful. Let your releasing be peaceful. Money is a servant of divine law, not the master of man. Let this become strong and calm within you. Money is a servant of divine law, not the master of man. Therefore you need not bow to it. You need not fear it. You need not hate it. You need not chase it through the night. You may bless it and let it serve the divine plan. You may direct it by the right word. You may receive it through right channels. You may circulate it under grace. You may expect its increase as part of divine order. Now let the blessing become slower, softer, more like a stream moving quietly through the mind. This money is divine substance, blessed and multiplied under grace. I bless every coin, every note, every payment, every gift. Money comes to me under grace and goes from me under grace. What I bless cannot diminish me. I do not fear money. I govern it by the right word. This money is divine substance, blessed and multiplied under grace. I bless every coin, every note, every payment, every gift. Money comes to me under grace and goes from me under grace. What I bless cannot diminish me. I do not fear money. I govern it by the right word. Let these words be placed upon every financial memory. Let them be placed upon the first coin you remember receiving. Let them be placed upon every time you feared not having enough. Let them be placed upon every time you paid with dread. Let them be placed upon every time you received with doubt. Let them be placed upon every time you wished for more and felt ashamed. Let them be placed upon every time money seemed to leave too quickly. Let them be placed upon every future moment when money will come and go. All is blessed now. All is under grace. There is a quiet miracle in changing the feeling around a thing. When the feeling changes, the relationship changes. When the relationship changes, the word changes. When the word changes, the subconscious pattern changes. When the subconscious pattern changes, the outer condition has a new mold to follow. Thus, we do not begin by forcing the outer form. We begin by blessing the inner relation. Money is no longer surrounded by fear. It is surrounded by divine order. Money is no longer touched with dread. It is touched with blessing. Money is no longer spoken of as master. It is spoken of as servant. If sleep is near, let these ideas work without effort. You do not need to hold them tightly. Let them hold you. Let the words continue like a quiet light. Money is divine substance. Money is blessed. Money is ordered. Money is received under grace. Money is released under grace. Money is multiplied under grace. Money serves divine love. Money obeys divine law. God is the source. Infinite spirit is inexhaustible. What I bless cannot diminish me. And now, as we have blessed money in stillness, we prepare to understand its movement. For money, like all forms of supply, is not meant to be frozen in fear. It is not meant to be clutched as though God had no more. It is not meant to be released with panic, as though release were loss. It is meant to circulate under grace. It is meant to come and go in divine order. It is meant to serve, return, multiply, and bless. The next piece comes when man no longer believes that every payment is depletion, but understands that money released in faith is part of the great law of circulation. Now that money has been blessed in consciousness, let us speak of its movement. For money, when rightly understood, is not meant to be frozen in fear. It is not meant to be buried in anxiety. It is not meant to be held so tightly that the hand forgets how to receive. Money is divine substance in visible form, and divine substance moves according to law. It comes, it goes, it serves, it blesses, it returns, it increases. It appears through channels known and unknown, when the mind is aligned with truth. The frightened mind says, if money goes from me, I have lost. But divine law says, what is released under grace returns in right ways. The frightened mind says, if I pay, I am diminished. But divine law says, what is paid in faith becomes part of circulation. The frightened mind says, I must clutch what I have, for there may be no more. But divine law says, infinite spirit is inexhaustible, and there is always more substance in the unseen than has yet appeared in the seen. The frightened mind sees every outgoing sum as a wound. The awakened mind sees every rightly released sum as a seed placed into divine order. Money is not made safe by fear. Money is made orderly by consciousness. To clutch money in terror is not wisdom. It is a silent declaration that God may fail. To hide from every obligation is not prudence. It is fear refusing to bring the matter under divine law. To pay with resentment is to send forth substance clothed in resistance. To give with guilt is to confuse the flow. To receive with suspicion is to close the very door through which supply has entered. But to receive with gratitude, to pay with blessing, to give with guidance, to save with wisdom, and to release without fear is to become a wise steward of divine substance. I circulate money as a wise steward of divine substance. Let this sentence enter softly. I circulate money as a wise steward of divine substance. I do not scatter it carelessly. I do not worship it anxiously. I do not clutch it fearfully. I do not release it resentfully. I receive, bless, direct, use, give, pay, save, and circulate under divine guidance. I am not mastered by money. I am not frightened by money. I am not confused by money. I place money under divine order by the right word. There are many who fear the arrival of a bill as though it were an enemy at the door. A letter comes, and the heart tightens, an obligation is remembered, and the body becomes tense. A payment is due, and the imagination begins to paint scenes of loss, failure, embarrassment, or ruin. But the bill is not the enemy. The obligation is not the enemy. Fear is the enemy, and even fear is only a false prophet speaking without divine authority. An obligation is a condition to be blessed, ordered, and met under grace. A bill is not a curse. It is a call to speak the right word and bring the matter into divine order. When a bill appears, do not say, "This will drain me." Do not say, "This always happens." Do not say, "There is never enough." Do not say, "I cannot bear this." Speak another word. Say, "This obligation is now in divine order." Say it slowly. This obligation is now in divine order. This obligation is not master over me. This obligation is not confusion. This obligation is not fear. This obligation is now under divine law, and divine intelligence arranges the perfect way for it to be met. Every payment can be blessed. Every obligation can be blessed. Every outgoing sum can be assigned to good. Nothing need leave you in fear. Even when money must be paid, even when an obligation must be met, even when a sum must be released, your word governs the atmosphere of the act. The same payment may be made in fear or made in faith. The amount may be the same, but the spiritual result is not the same. One is sent forth with trembling. The other is sent forth under grace. One says, "I lose." The other says, "I circulate." One says, "I am diminished." The other says, "God is my unfailing supply." When you pay, speak gently over the payment. I pay this under grace, and it returns to me multiplied in perfect ways. Do not hurry the sentence. Do not say it as a charm. Say it as law. I pay this under grace, and it returns to me multiplied in perfect ways. The payment is not a wound. It is not a defeat. It is not a sign that your supply is leaving forever. It is a movement within the law of circulation. Money goes forth to fulfill an obligation, to bless a service, to complete an exchange, to restore order, to honor a right use, and what is released under grace is not lost in divine mind. I pay this under grace, and it returns to me multiplied in perfect ways. Let the body learn peace around this phrase. Let the hand learn peace. Let the heart learn peace. Let the mind learn that paying is not panic. Paying can be blessing. Paying can be order. Paying can be a sacred act of trust. Paying can be a moment when fear is denied authority and God is remembered as source. The old interpretation says, "When I pay, I lose." The new interpretation says, "When I bless and circulate, I open the way for return." The old interpretation says, "Money has gone away from me." The new interpretation says, "Money has gone forth under grace to fulfill divine order." The old interpretation says, "There is less now." The new interpretation says, "Infinite substance is inexhaustible, and this outgoing sum is blessed, assigned, and returned under grace." The old interpretation says, "I must fear the next demand." The new interpretation says, "Every obligation is met in divine order, and I am guided in wisdom." Let every outgoing dollar be blessed, assigned, and returned under grace. Every outgoing dollar is blessed, assigned, and returned under grace. Every coin that leaves me under divine order is blessed. Every note that leaves me under divine order is blessed. Every payment made rightly is blessed. Every obligation met in faith is blessed. Every gift given under divine guidance is blessed. Every sum saved in wisdom is blessed. Every sum spent in peace is blessed. Every outgoing dollar is blessed, assigned and returned under grace. To assign money spiritually is to refuse confusion. It is to say, this money has a right use. It goes forth under divine direction. It does not wander in disorder. It is not wasted through fear. It is not released through panic. It is not withheld through terror. It is guided. Money, like every part of life, may be placed under divine order. Your receiving may be ordered. Your paying may be ordered. Your giving may be ordered. Your saving may be ordered. Your spending may be ordered. Your debts may be ordered. Your income may be ordered. Your decisions may be ordered. There is no corner of financial life too practical to be touched by divine intelligence. Some have believed that spirituality belongs only to prayer, and money belongs only to worry, but this division is false. God is not absent from the table where bills are counted. Infinite intelligence is not absent from the purse, the ledger, the workroom, the marketplace, the rent, the debt, the gift, the purchase, the exchange. Divine law governs all when invited by the right word and obeyed through right action. Therefore, bring every financial matter into the light. Do not leave one area in fear and another in faith. Let all be blessed. Let all be ordered. Let all be placed under grace. If you have feared looking at your financial affairs, bless the act of looking. Say, divine wisdom guides me as I see clearly. If you have feared opening a bill, bless the opening. Say, this matter is under divine order. If you have feared speaking about money, bless the conversation before it begins. Say, the right words are spoken, and the right adjustment is made under grace. If you have feared receiving money, bless the receiving. Say, I receive this as divine substance and use it wisely. If you have feared releasing money, bless the release. Say, I release without fear, for God is my unfailing supply. I release without fear, for God is my unfailing supply. Let this be soft and steady. I release without fear, for God is my unfailing supply. I release the payment without fear. I release the gift without fear. I release the old obligation without fear. I release the old anxiety without fear. I release the belief that what leaves me in right order can make me poor. I release without fear, for God is my unfailing supply. This does not mean money should be released foolishly. Divine law is never disorder. Faith is not extravagance. Generosity is not guilt. Circulation is not carelessness. The right use of money includes wisdom, timing, guidance, and peace. One must not give, because fear says, if I do not, I shall be punished. One must not give, because pride says, let others see me. One must not give, because guilt says, I am unworthy if I keep. One must not spend, because desire shouts, I must have this now. One must not withhold, because terror whispers, there will never be more. The wise steward listens for divine direction. Giving should not be forced, guilty, or superstitious. A gift given from fear carries fear. A gift given from resentment carries resentment. A gift given to buy approval carries bondage. But a gift given under divine love carries blessing. It is free. It is clean. It does not impoverish the giver in consciousness. It does not bind the receiver. It does not say, I give to be seen. It says, I give because divine love directs me, and all supply is of God. True giving has peace in it. True giving is not a bargain with heaven. It is circulation under grace. When you are guided to give, bless the gift. Say, this gift is divine substance, released in love, and it returns under grace in perfect ways. When you are guided not to give, bless the restraint. Say, divine wisdom governs me, and I am not moved by guilt. When you are guided to help, help with peace. When you are guided to wait, wait with peace. When you are guided to say yes under grace. When you are guided to say no under grace. Divine love does not require confusion. Divine wisdom is clear when fear is quiet. There is also a right way to save. Saving is not clutching when it is done in wisdom. Saving becomes fear when the heart says, this is all there is, and I must hide it from life. Saving becomes order when the heart says, this is divine substance set aside under divine direction for right use at the right time. Bless what is saved. Do not hide it in anxiety. Do not count it in fear. Do not make it your source. Say, this money is blessed, protected, directed, and multiplied under grace. It serves the divine plan of my life. Then it is not a frightened hoard. It is part of order. There is a right way to spend. Spending is not wrong when guided. Spending is not loss when blessed. Spending can be service, nourishment, beauty, shelter, education, healing, hospitality, duty, and right expression. But spending under fear, vanity, impulse, competition, or emptiness becomes disorder. Therefore, bless spending too. Say, divine wisdom governs my choices. I spend in peace, not in panic. I spend under grace, not under compulsion. I spend where divine order directs, and my supply is sure. Then even ordinary exchanges become part of spiritual practice. There is a right way to receive. Some people receive money with gratitude for a moment, and then immediately speak fear over it. They say, it will not last. They say, now something will happen to take it away. They say, this is not enough. They turn the incoming blessing into an anxious calculation. Instead, when money comes, pause inwardly, bless it. Say, I receive this under grace. I thank God as my source. This money is blessed, directed, and multiplied in perfect ways. Let receiving be clean. Let gratitude have the first word. Let fear wait outside the door and find no entrance. There is a right way to pay. This is especially important, for many hearts are troubled most by payment. The rent is due, and fear speaks. A debt is remembered, and shame speaks. A necessary purchase arises, and guilt speaks. A bill arrives, and anger speaks. But you are learning to let truth speak first. Take the bill in consciousness and say, "This obligation is now in divine order." Say, "I pay this under grace, and it returns to me multiplied in perfect ways." Say, "Every outgoing dollar is blessed, assigned and returned under grace." Say, "I release without fear, for God is my unfailing supply." If the bill cannot yet be paid in the visible, do not curse it. Place it under divine order. Say, "Divine intelligence now shows the right way. The right adjustment is made. The right provision appears. The right timing is established. This obligation is not greater than God." Then follow the right action when it is shown. Perhaps a conversation is needed. Perhaps an arrangement is needed. Perhaps a payment is made in part. Perhaps a new channel opens. Perhaps a delay becomes a blessing. Do not outline. Do not panic over timing. Infinite intelligence arranges the right return, the right adjustment, and the right channel. One must not force channels or panic over timing. Panic is not speed. Fear is not faith. Strain does not hasten divine law. Sometimes the anxious mind, seeing an obligation, begins to run in every direction. It writes before it is guided, speaks before it is calm, promises before it is wise, fears before it has prayed, acts before it has listened. Then it calls confusion necessity. But divine law works through order. First become still. First speak the word. First bless the matter. First return to God as source. Then action may come, and when it comes from divine intelligence, it carries a different quality. The right action has peace in it, even when it requires courage. The wrong action has panic in it, even when it appears clever. Learn to distinguish the two. Divine intelligence may guide you to make a call, write a letter, sell something, offer a service, ask a question, complete a task, forgive a debt of resentment, accept help, refuse confusion, or take a practical step. But the action will not be born of frantic self-torture. It will come with a certain clarity. You will know, this is the next right thing. Then do it, and bless it. There is great power in blessing every movement of money. If money comes to you, bless it. If money leaves you, bless it. If money is delayed, bless the channel and declare divine timing. If money seems insufficient, bless what is present and declare multiplication under grace. If money is owed to you, bless the person, bless the obligation, and declare right adjustment. If you owe money, bless the creditor, bless the amount, and declare divine order. If you have made mistakes with money, bless the lesson, cast the burden on the Christ within, and begin again. I have seen people transform their financial affairs, not by fearfully making money their master, but by bringing every movement of money under spiritual law. They stopped saying, "This leaves me with nothing." They began saying, "What I release under grace returns in perfect ways." They stopped saying, "This bill is impossible." They began saying, "This obligation is now in divine order." They stopped saying, "I am afraid to spend." They began saying, "Divine wisdom governs my use of money." They stopped saying, "No one will help me." They began saying, "Infinite love opens the right channel." And slowly, sometimes suddenly, the atmosphere changed. At first, the outer figures may look the same, but the inner government has changed. This is important. Do not despise the inner change, because the outer form has not yet fully appeared. When the government of consciousness changes, the conditions begin to lose their old authority. Fear no longer rules every payment. Shame no longer darkens every obligation. Panic no longer speaks first. Divine order has entered, and where divine order enters, confusion cannot remain forever. I circulate money as a wise steward of divine substance. Let this phrase expand now. I circulate money wisely. I receive wisely. I pay wisely. I give wisely. I save wisely. I spend wisely. I release wisely. I ask wisely. I wait wisely. I act wisely. Infinite intelligence guides me in all money matters. Divine love governs my motives. Divine order governs my affairs. Divine substance is inexhaustible. I am not alone with money. I am guided. Think of money as water in a clear stream. When it moves rightly, it refreshes. When it is blocked by fear, it becomes troubled in consciousness. When it is wasted through disorder, it does not serve as it might. When it is blessed, directed, and allowed to move according to wisdom, it serves life. You do not stand in a stream and scream at the water. You learn its direction. You cooperate with its flow. You keep the channel clear. In the same way, do not scream inwardly at money. Do not curse its coming or going. Bless the flow. Clear the fear. Speak divine order. Clutching money in fear blocks flow because fear declares limitation. The hand that clutches says, there may be no more. The mind that clutches says, God is limited. The heart that clutches says, I must protect myself from life. But the wise steward does not clutch. The wise steward keeps order. The wise steward listens. The wise steward gives when guided, saves when guided, pays when guided, spends when guided, receives with gratitude, and releases with faith. The wise steward knows the difference between order and fear. Order is peaceful. Fear is tormented. Order says, this is blessed and directed. Fear says, this is all I have. If you have clutched money in fear, bless yourself and release the fear. You were trying to be safe, but now you are learning a higher safety. Say, I release the fear of not enough. I release the belief that I must clutch to be safe. I release the dread of money moving. I release without fear, for God is my unfailing supply. Feel the hand open inwardly, not careless, not foolish, open in trust, open to give when guided, open to receive without guilt, open to pay without dread, open to let divine substance move. The movement of money is not separate from the movement of faith. When faith moves, money may move. When fear freezes, money often seems frozen. When the word blesses, the way opens. When the word curses, the mind closes. Therefore speak blessing over movement. Speak blessing over exchange. Speak blessing over every sum that comes and every sum that goes. Let the word accompany the movement as a priestly blessing. When you pay for bread, bless the payment. When you pay for shelter, bless the payment. When you pay for clothing, bless the payment. When you pay for warmth, bless the payment. When you pay for learning, bless the payment. When you pay for healing, bless the payment. When you pay a debt, bless the payment. When you give a gift, bless the gift. When you receive wages, bless the wages. When you receive an unexpected sum, bless the sum. When you set aside savings, bless the savings. When you make any right exchange, bless the exchange. Do not think an act is too small to bless. The small blessed act trains consciousness. The small blessed payment teaches the subconscious that money can move without fear. The small blessed gift teaches the heart that giving can be safe. The small blessed receipt teaches the mind that receiving can be clean. The small blessed coin teaches the whole financial nature to rest under divine law. Great peace is built by many small agreements with truth. If a bill has frightened you for many nights, bring it now into the imagination, but not as a monster. See it as paper, as ink, as an amount, as a temporary form. Then place over it the word, this obligation is now in divine order, not someday, now in divine order. The way to meet it is now being arranged. The right action is now being shown. The right supply is now being released. The right channel is now being selected. The right timing is now being established. This obligation is not outside God. It is not beyond law. It is now in divine order. If a debt has weighed upon the heart, bring it gently into the light. Do not shame yourself. Shame does not pay debts. Fear does not dissolve debts. Avoidance does not bless debts. Divine order does. Right action does. Right word does. Say, this debt is now under grace. I bless the person or place connected with it. I bless the amount. I bless the adjustment. I bless the payment. I bless the release. I bless the day when this is fully cleared. Infinite intelligence shows me the perfect way. I am guided, supplied, and free. If you have been owed money and have felt resentment, bless that too. Resentment ties the soul to the very condition it wishes to escape. Say, I release resentment. I bless the person. I bless the channel. I declare divine justice and divine order. What is mine by divine right comes to me under grace. If this is the channel, it is opened and adjusted. If not, infinite intelligence provides through the perfect channel. Do not let resentment become another form of dependence on one door. God is the source, and divine justice has countless ways. If you have given in the past and felt unappreciated, bless that memory and release it. Let no old disappointment close the hand forever. Say, I bless what I gave. I release all expectation from human personality. God is my source, and every true gift is known in divine mind. I am guided in all future giving. Then giving becomes clean again. It is no longer mixed with old hurt. It becomes an act of divine circulation, not a plea for recognition. If you have spent in fear, bless that memory and learn. Say, divine wisdom now governs my spending. I am not driven by fear, vanity, loneliness, or impulse. I am guided in peace. If you have withheld in fear, Bless that memory and learn. Say, divine wisdom now governs my saving and releasing. I am not controlled by terror. I am held by God. If you have received and felt unworthy, bless that memory and learn. Say, I receive God's good with gratitude, humility, wisdom, and joy. There is no financial act that cannot be redeemed by right recognition. Every wrong condition can be dissolved by right recognition. Every confused habit can be brought into divine order. Every fearful pattern can be replaced by faithful rhythm. Every old reaction can become a new practice. The very things that once frightened you may become altars of blessing. The bill becomes an altar. The purse becomes an altar. The coin becomes an altar. The payment becomes an altar. The gift becomes an altar. The act of receiving becomes an altar. Upon each one you place the word of truth. I pay this under grace, and it returns to me multiplied in perfect ways. This obligation is now in divine order. I release without fear, for God is my unfailing supply. Every outgoing dollar is blessed, assigned and returned under grace. I circulate money as a wise steward of divine substance. These are not merely sentences. They are ways of retraining the whole financial nature. They are the new paths in the mind. They are the quiet commands that turn fear into trust. Let us make them slower now, for the night receives slow truth deeply. I pay this under grace, and it returns to me multiplied in perfect ways. This obligation is now in divine order. I release without fear, for God is my unfailing supply. Every outgoing dollar is blessed, assigned and returned under grace. I circulate money as a wise steward of divine substance. Again softly, I pay this under grace, and it returns to me multiplied in perfect ways. This obligation is now in divine order. I release without fear, for God is my unfailing supply. Every outgoing dollar is blessed, assigned and returned under grace. I circulate money as a wise steward of divine substance. Let the words become familiar. Let them replace the old tightening. Let them be ready for tomorrow, ready for the next payment, ready for the next bill, ready for the next moment money moves. Let them be written in the subconscious so deeply that when fear tries to rise, the right word rises first. That is mastery, not never feeling fear, but knowing what word to speak when fear appears. There may be a moment when a payment must be made, and the old sensation comes. The heart tightens, the hand hesitates, the mind says, if I release this, I shall have less. In that moment, breathe. Remember God as source. Remember money as divine substance. Remember the law of circulation. Then speak, inwardly or aloud, I release without fear, for God is my unfailing supply. Pay, if it is right to pay. Bless, if it is right to bless. Act, if it is right to act. Then let the matter go. Do not pay, and then dig up the seed by hours of worry. Release under grace. There may be a moment when you are moved to give. Pause. Listen. Is it love or is it guilt? Is it guidance or is it fear? Is it generosity or is it a desire to be approved? Do not condemn yourself. Simply become clear. If it is divine love, give with peace and bless the gift. If it is guilt, wait and return to truth. The law of circulation is not a whip. It is a river. It moves freely, not under compulsion. The wise steward gives without being driven and keeps without being fearful. There may be a moment when money is received. Do not rush past it. Many receive and immediately worry about what must be paid. First, bless the receiving. Let gratitude complete itself. Say, I receive this under grace. I bless it. I thank God as my source. This money is divine substance, and it is directed by infinite intelligence. Then, from peace, allow it to be assigned. Some may be used, some may be saved, some may be given, some may be paid, according to wisdom. But let gratitude have the first word. Gratitude is very powerful in circulation. It keeps the flow clear. It prevents receiving from becoming greed. It prevents paying from becoming resentment. It prevents saving from becoming fear. It prevents giving from becoming pride. Gratitude says, all is of God. I am a steward. I bless the source. I bless the channel. I bless the use. I bless the return. Gratitude makes money lighter in consciousness. It removes the heaviness of dread. I bless all that has come. I bless all that has gone. I bless all that is coming. I bless all that is to be released. I bless the visible and the invisible. I bless the known and the unknown. I bless the channels already open and the channels now being prepared. I bless the payments made and the payments soon to be made. I bless the obligations already met and the obligations now being brought under divine order. I bless the gifts given and the gifts received. I bless the whole circulation of divine substance in my life. Let your financial life become like a well-ordered garden. Some seeds are planted, some fruit is gathered, some water flows in, some water flows out, some branches are pruned, some new growth appears. The gardener does not curse the movement of life. The gardener works with law, so it is with money. There is receiving, giving, paying, saving, spending, adjusting, planning, listening, and acting. None of it need be feared when all is under divine order. Do not think that circulation means constant outward movement without wisdom. A river has banks. A garden has seasons. A steward has discernment. Money must move, but it must move rightly. It must be guided, not scattered. It must be blessed, not feared. It must be circulated, not wasted. It must be used, not idolized. It must be saved when saving is right, given when giving is right, paid when payment is right, and received always with thanksgiving. There is a quiet phrase you may use whenever money moves. Under grace. Let it be placed over the whole movement. Money comes under grace. Money goes under grace. Bills are paid under grace. Debts are dissolved under grace. Gifts are given under grace. Gifts are received under grace. Work is done under grace. Accounts are adjusted under grace. Channels open under grace. Obligations are met under grace. The phrase itself removes strain. It reminds the mind that divine law, not human panic, governs the movement. If you are lying now with a particular obligation in mind, do not wrestle it. Bless it. Perhaps it is a rent, a tax, a debt, a household expense, a promise, a medical matter, a business matter, a family need, or something that has been postponed because it seemed too heavy to face. Bring it softly into the light and say, "This obligation is now in divine order," not as a desperate plea but as a declaration. This obligation is now in divine order. Divine intelligence knows the perfect way. Divine substance provides the perfect means. Divine love opens the perfect channel. I am guided in the perfect action. Let the phrase repeat gently until the body believes it is safe to let go. This obligation is now in divine order. This obligation is now in divine order. This obligation is now in divine order. I do not carry it in fear. I do not hide it in shame. I do not magnify it with panic. I place it under divine law. I cast the burden upon the Christ within, and I go free. I am shown what to do. I am supplied with what is needed. I am peaceful while divine intelligence works. This is how financial triggers become spiritual practices. What once caused panic becomes a place to practice the word. What once caused dread becomes a place to speak divine order. What once caused shame becomes a place to cast the burden. What once caused avoidance becomes a place to receive guidance. A bill is no longer merely a bill. It is a moment to remember God. A payment is no longer merely money leaving. It is a moment to bless circulation. A gift is no longer merely a sum. It is a moment to express divine love. Receiving is no longer merely increase. It is a moment of gratitude and stewardship. The whole financial life can become a practice of the presence of God, not in a strained or solemn way, but in a living way. Every exchange can remind you that God is source. Every obligation can remind you that divine order is real. Every payment can remind you that money circulates. Every gift can remind you that supply is shared. Every saving can remind you that wisdom is blessed. Every receiving can remind you that channels are many and source is one. Or if fear says, "You should not release anything," answer, "I release only what divine wisdom directs, and I release without fear." If impulse says, "Release without thought," answer, "I am a wise steward of divine substance." If guilt says, "Give so you will feel worthy," answer, "I am worthy by divine nature, and I give only under divine love." If pride says, "Show what you have," answer, "I use money humbly and wisely." If shame says, "Hide from your obligations," answer, "This obligation is now in divine order." If panic says, "There is no time," answer, "Divine timing is exact, and the right action is shown now." You see, the law of circulation is not only about money moving, it is about consciousness moving from fear to faith. It is about the heart moving from clutching to trust. It is about the mind moving from confusion to order. It is about the word moving from complaint to blessing. It is about the whole being moving into harmony with supply. When this inner circulation is restored, outer circulation begins to reflect it. There is a kind of poverty that comes not from lack of money, but from fear of movement. A person may have some money and still feel poor because every movement terrifies them. Another may have little, yet bless what moves and feel the beginning of abundance. This does not mean figures are unimportant. It means consciousness is the beginning. The figures can change. The word can open the way. Divine intelligence can arrange channels, but the fear of movement must be healed. Let the fear of movement be healed now. Let the fear of money coming and going be healed. Let the fear of paying be healed. Let the fear of giving be healed. Let the fear of receiving be healed. Let the fear of saving wrongly be healed. Let the fear of spending wrongly be healed. Let the fear of looking clearly be healed. Let the fear of asking for guidance be healed. Let the fear of tomorrow be healed. Divine love dissolves fear, and divine wisdom establishes order. I release without fear, for God is my unfailing supply. I release the old belief that payment is loss. I release the old belief that giving is depletion. I release the old belief that money must be clutched. I release the old belief that every bill is a threat. I release the old belief that I am alone with obligations. I release the old belief that I must know the channel before I can rest. I release without fear, for God is my unfailing supply. Every outgoing dollar is blessed, assigned and returned under grace. Let this be spoken over all outgoing money. Every outgoing dollar is blessed, assigned and returned under grace. Let this be spoken over all outgoing money. Every outgoing dollar is blessed. It does not go forth in fear. It is assigned. It has a right purpose. It is returned under grace. Not necessarily through the same hand, not necessarily by the same road, not necessarily in the same form, but by the law of divine supply, through the channels infinite intelligence selects. Do not force the channel. Bless the return. Bless the return. A farmer does not plant seed and then demand that the same seed leap back into his hand that evening. He trusts the law of increase. He gives the seed to the earth, and hidden processes begin. So it is with money released under grace. You may not know how the return is arranged. You may not see the invisible roots. You may not hear the movement beneath the surface. But the law is working. Your part is to bless, release, act rightly, and refrain from digging up the seed with fear. Do not pay a bill, and then spend the night saying, "Now what shall I do?" That is digging up the seed. Pay, bless, and return to source. Do not give a gift, and then secretly resent it. That is drying the seed. Give only when guided, then bless and release. Do not save money, and then worship it as your only protection. That is placing the seed in a locked box of fear. Save with wisdom, bless it, and remember God as source. Do not receive money, and then immediately fear losing it. That is meeting the harvest with suspicion. Receive, bless, assign, and give thanks. Let the whole cycle be blessed. Receiving, blessing, assigning, using, giving, paying, saving, releasing, returning, multiplying, receiving, blessing, assigning, using, giving, paying, saving, releasing, returning, multiplying. Let it become rhythmic. Let it become peaceful. Let the old jagged fear smooth into a steady law. Money comes to me under grace and goes from me under grace. Money comes to me under grace and goes from me under grace. Perhaps your mind asks, but what if I have released before and did not see return? Do not let that question become accusation. Instead, ask quietly, did I release under grace, or did I release in fear? Did I bless, or did I resent? Did I give from guidance or from guilt? Did I pay and trust, or did I pay and curse? Did I act wisely, or was I driven by panic? There is no shame in learning. Divine law teaches gently when we are willing to see. Begin again. This time, release with the right word. This time, bless the movement. This time, do not bind the return to one narrow channel. The return may be money, or it may be a cancellation. It may be an opportunity, or it may be a right idea. It may be a gift, or it may be protection from an unnecessary expense. It may be a new channel of work, or it may be the wisdom not to follow a wrong one. It may be a person guided to help, or a circumstance adjusted quietly. Do not limit divine return to the shape the anxious mind expects. Divine intelligence arranges right return, and right return always blesses more deeply than forced return. This is why one must not panic over timing. Panic says, it must come now, this way, through this person, or I am lost. Faith says, my good comes at the appointed time, through the appointed channel, under grace. Panic watches the clock and calls it God. Faith blesses the law and rests while it works. Panic creates agitation in the subconscious. Faith impresses the subconscious with order. Panic sees delay as denial. Faith sees divine timing as exact. Panic fears silence. Faith knows that roots grow in silence. If no visible return has yet appeared, keep the word steady. Do not turn one day of silence into a prophecy. Do not say, it is not working. Do not undo the blessing by complaint. Say, the law is working in the invisible. Divine intelligence arranges the perfect return. I am guided in right action. My supply is sure. Then rest. Then listen. Then act when action is shown. There is a holy balance between faith and action. Faith does not sit in disorder and call it spirituality. Faith speaks the word, quiets fear, listens for guidance, and then moves in the appointed way. If a payment plan is needed, one may be guided to arrange it. If work is needed, one may be guided to do it. If an idea is given, one may be guided to follow it. If a conversation is needed, one may be guided to speak. But the action comes from divine order, not from panic. This is the difference between being driven and being led. I circulate money as a wise steward of divine substance. I am led, not driven. I am guided, not frightened. I am orderly, not rigid. I am generous, not guilty. I am careful, not fearful. I am receptive, not grasping. I am peaceful, not passive. I am active when divine intelligence directs me, and I rest when the word has been spoken and no action is yet shown. Let this bring comfort to the one who fears bills. A bill is not a verdict against you. A bill is a request for order. It can be brought under grace. It can be blessed. It can be met through divine supply. It can be adjusted through divine wisdom. It can be arranged through right action. It can be paid in perfect timing. It need not be worshipped as a giant. It need not be avoided as a monster. It can be placed calmly before infinite intelligence. The next time a bill comes, you may hold it or think of it and say, "You are not greater than God. You are now in divine order." Then bless the amount. Bless the one to whom it is owed. Bless the service it represents if it was a right service. Bless the means by which it shall be met. Bless the channel not yet visible. Bless your own mind to act wisely. Bless the release of fear. This is practical spirituality. It changes the atmosphere before it changes the paper, and often when the atmosphere changes, the paper becomes easier to handle. A debt too can be blessed. Not praised as something to keep, but blessed into dissolution. Say, "This debt is now dissolved under grace in perfect ways. I am shown the right action. I am supplied with the right means. I bless all concerned. I am free in divine order." This is not denial of responsibility. It is the spiritual beginning of responsibility. Fear hides, faith faces. Fear delays, faith blesses and acts. Fear says, "I cannot look." Faith says, "Divine wisdom looks through me, and all is adjusted." Let no obligation remain outside blessing. Let no payment remain outside grace. Let no debt remain outside divine order. Let no gift remain outside divine love. Let no saving remain outside divine wisdom. Let no spending remain outside divine direction. Let no receiving remain outside gratitude. Let no releasing remain outside faith. Let the whole river be blessed from source to sea. Now let the repeated declarations become slower again, so that the deeper mind may receive them. I pay this under grace, and it returns to me multiplied in perfect ways. This obligation is now in divine order. I release without fear, for God is my unfailing supply. Every outgoing dollar is blessed, assigned, and returned under grace. I circulate money as a wise steward of divine substance. I pay this under grace, and it returns to me multiplied in perfect ways. This obligation is now in divine order. I release without fear, for God is my unfailing supply. Every outgoing dollar is blessed, assigned, and returned under grace. I circulate money as a wise steward of divine substance. Let these words move through the body. Let them pass over the heart. Let them pass through the hands. Let them settle in the stomach where fear may have lived. Let them calm the breath. Let them quiet the eyes. Let them loosen the jaw. Let them make money peaceful in the nervous system. The body has perhaps learned to react to money with tension. Tonight it learns another way. Money can move, and you can remain at peace. Money can be paid, and God remains source. Money can be given, and supply remains inexhaustible. Money can be received, and you can remain humble. Money can be saved, and you can remain trusting. Money can be used, and you can remain guided. The circulation of money is only frightening when the source has been forgotten. Remember the source, and movement becomes possible. Remember infinite spirit, and the outgoing sum no longer seems final. Remember divine substance, and the present form no longer seems all there is. Remember divine order, and the obligation no longer appears chaotic. Remember the right word, and the subconscious receives a new law. If you sleep before all this is finished, let the words continue working. Let the subconscious be bathed in the law of circulation. Let the old belief, "When I pay, I lose," be dissolved. Let the new belief, "When I bless and circulate, I open the way for return," be planted. Let the old fear of bills be softened. Let the new practice of blessing obligations be established. Let the old dread of release be dissolved. Let the new trust in divine supply become natural. You are not being asked to become careless. You are being invited to become free, free from panic, free from guilt, free from superstition, free from clinging, free from the belief that one payment can exhaust infinite spirit, free from the belief that one bill can overthrow divine law, free from the belief that one delay can cancel your good, free from the belief that money moving means money lost. Divine substance is greater than movement. The source remains full. Now, gently bless all money that has ever left you in fear. Bless it backward in memory. Bless the payments you resented. Bless the gifts you regretted. Bless the purchases that frightened you. Bless the debts that burdened you. Bless the obligations that taught you. Bless the money that seemed to disappear. Bless it all into divine order. Say, I release the fear attached to past money. I bless all that has gone. I call forth divine order, divine restoration, and divine wisdom now. See it going forth under grace, not under fear. See it fulfilling right purposes. See it returning in right ways. See yourself paying calmly. See yourself giving wisely. See yourself saving peacefully. See yourself spending with guidance. See yourself receiving with gratitude. See yourself no longer shrinking from financial movement. See yourself as a wise steward. The wise steward is not poor in spirit. The wise steward is rich in trust. The wise steward knows that money must serve the divine plan, not the frightened personality. The wise steward says, what is mine to use, I use rightly. What is mine to give, I give rightly. What is mine to pay, I pay rightly. What is mine to save, I save rightly. What is mine to receive, I receive gratefully. What is mine to release, I release without fear. This is prosperity of consciousness. When prosperity of consciousness is established, visible prosperity has a place to dwell. If money enters a consciousness of fear, it may not stay peacefully. If money enters a consciousness of disorder, it may be scattered. If money enters a consciousness of guilt, it may be rejected. If money enters a consciousness of blessing, order, gratitude, and right circulation, it has found a fitting house. Therefore, prepare the house, prepare consciousness, bless circulation, establish order, receive and release under grace. Let every financial trigger become a bell of awakening. When a bill appears, it rings, speak divine order. When a payment is made, it rings, bless circulation. When money is received, it rings, give thanks. When fear arises, it rings, return to source. When a debt is remembered, it rings, cast the burden. When a gift is considered, it rings, listen for divine love. When a purchase is needed, it rings, ask divine wisdom. In this way, nothing is wasted. Every financial moment becomes an opportunity to practice the law. You may rest now in the knowledge that circulation is not loss. You may rest in the knowledge that payment is not defeat. You may rest in the knowledge that giving need not be guilt. You may rest in the knowledge that saving need not be fear. You may rest in the knowledge that spending need not be disorder. You may rest in the knowledge that receiving need not be shame. All can be placed under divine order. All can be governed by the right word. All can be blessed. Money released in faith returns multiplied. Not always by the road the mind demands, but by the law infinite intelligence fulfills. Clutching money in fear blocks flow, but wise stewardship opens flow. Giving is blessed when guided by divine love. Payment is blessed when made under grace. Obligation is blessed when brought under divine order. Return is blessed when left to the perfect channels of spirit. Timing is blessed when trusted to infinite intelligence. I release without fear, for God is my unfailing supply. I pay under grace. I give under grace. I receive under grace. I save under grace. I spend under grace. I circulate under grace. Every outgoing dollar is blessed, assigned and returned under grace. Every incoming dollar is blessed, received and directed under grace. Every obligation is now in divine order. Every channel is selected by infinite intelligence. Every right return is arranged in perfect ways. Let the final thought of this movement be peace. You do not have to fear the flow. You do not have to stop the river. You do not have to clutch the form. You do not have to worship the channel. You do not have to panic over timing. You may bless, release, receive, direct, and trust. You may let money be money, a servant of divine law. You may let God be God, the inexhaustible source. You may let your word be your wand, placing every movement of money under grace. And as this law of circulation becomes clear, another hidden place in the heart may begin to show itself. For sometimes, money does not frighten man only because of bills or payments, but because he has been taught to feel guilt about receiving, fear about wealth, or shame about wanting more than mere survival. Sometimes the hand is willing to receive, but the heart feels unworthy. Sometimes the mouth declares supply, but an old belief whispers that prosperity is unsafe or unspiritual. and so gently we shall bring even that hidden resistance into divine light, for fear and guilt must be dissolved before abundance can be received in peace. Or, now we come to a quiet chamber of the heart, one that many do not enter willingly, and yet it must be entered if supply is to be received in peace. For it is possible to speak of abundance and yet feel guilty for desiring it. It is possible to declare divine supply and yet secretly believe that lack is more holy. It is possible to bless money with the lips and yet shrink from receiving it in the heart. It is possible to ask Infinite Spirit for provision and then close the hand when provision approaches because some old voice says, "You should not want this, you should not have this, you should be content with fear." Let us bring that old voice into the light gently. Let us not fight it, let us not fear it, let us simply see it for what it is. A misunderstanding of divine good. Poverty is not piety. Fear is not faith. Anxiety is not humility. Sleeplessness is not devotion. To be burdened, frightened, ashamed, and struggling is not proof of spiritual worth. God is not honored by needless lack. Infinite Spirit is not glorified by your fear. Divine love does not ask you to remain small in order to prove that you are good. I release the false belief that lack is holy. Let that sentence move softly through the mind. I release the false belief that lack is holy. I release the false belief that poverty is purity. I release the false belief that fear is wisdom. I release the false belief that struggle is righteousness. I release the false belief that receiving is selfish. I release the false belief that money is unspiritual. I release the false belief that I must refuse good in order to be pleasing to God. There is a simplicity in truth. God is good. God is supply. God is order. God is love. God is not lack. God is not confusion. God is not terror. God is not the tight hand and the frightened heart. If a thing is yours by divine right, it comes under grace and blesses all concerned. It does not rob another. It does not harm another. It does not disturb divine order. It does not take from the infinite storehouse, for the infinite storehouse cannot be depleted. Divine abundance is not divided as man divides bread at a poor table, saying, if one has more, another must have less. That is the arithmetic of fear. It is not the mathematics of spirit. Divine love knows how to distribute divine substance rightly. Let this comfort you. Divine love knows how to distribute divine substance rightly. You do not need to fear that your receiving deprives another. You do not need to imagine that your good is stolen from someone else's good. God's good is inexhaustible. The sun does not shine less upon one garden because it shines upon another. A fountain is not emptied because one thirsty traveler drinks. Infinite Spirit does not become poor because you are provided for. Your right supply is part of divine order, not a theft from the order of another. The belief that it is wrong to receive has closed many doors that divine love had opened. A person may pray for help and then feel ashamed when help appears. They may ask for supply and then feel unworthy when supply approaches. They may declare increase and then inwardly apologize for wanting peace, comfort, order, beauty, freedom, and enough to give. Guilt closes the hand that faith would open. Guilt whispers, do not receive too much. Faith says, receive what is yours by divine right and use it under divine love. Guilt says, you are selfish to be supplied. Faith says, my prosperity blesses me and blesses others. Say that gently now. My prosperity blesses me and blesses others. My prosperity blesses my home. My prosperity blesses my work. My prosperity blesses those I am appointed to help. My prosperity blesses my giving. My prosperity blesses my peace. My prosperity blesses my usefulness. My prosperity blesses my perfect self-expression. My prosperity, governed by divine love, harms no one and serves the divine plan of my life. There is a great difference between greed and receptivity. Greed clutches, fears, compares, and worships the form. Receptivity opens, blesses, gives thanks, and remembers the source. Greed says, all for me. Receptivity says, all through God, under grace, for right use. Greed is restless even when it has much. Receptivity is peaceful, even as it receives more. Greed fears losing. Receptivity trusts the source. Greed makes money master. Receptivity makes money servant. Therefore, do not confuse your desire for divine supply with greed. Desire purified by divine love becomes a channel of good. If you desire to pay what you owe, that is not greed. If you desire to sleep without fear, that is not greed. If you desire to have enough food, shelter, clothing, beauty, order, and peace, that is not greed. If you desire to give where divine love directs you, that is not greed. If you desire to express your gifts and receive right compensation, that is not greed. If you desire to be free from the tyranny of debt and panic, that is not greed. If you desire to walk through life with dignity, usefulness, and gratitude, that is not greed. These desires may be lifted into divine order and fulfilled under grace. Nothing is too good to be true. Nothing is too wonderful to happen. Let these words be received as medicine for the heart that has been trained to expect disappointment. Nothing is too good to be true. The fearful mind says, do not hope. Divine law says, expect your good. The fearful mind says, if something good comes, it will not last. Divine law says, what God gives under grace is established in right order. The fearful mind says, it is safer to expect little. Divine law says, expect the good that belongs to your divine design. Many have been taught to shrink. They have been praised for expecting little, applauded for refusing comfort, and called virtuous for carrying burdens they should have cast upon the Christ within. They have mistaken resignation for faith. But true faith is not a dull acceptance of fear's verdict. True faith looks beyond appearances and says, God is my unfailing supply. My good now comes to me under grace in perfect ways. True faith is not proud. It is not greedy. It is not loud. It is quiet, radiant, and expectant. I have seen souls refuse their good because they felt unworthy of ease. They had struggled so long that struggle began to feel like identity. They had feared so long that peace felt unfamiliar. They had gone without for so long that receiving seemed almost improper. But the soul must learn that God's good is not earned by suffering. The divine plan is not purchased by anxiety. The doors of divine love do not open because a person has punished themselves enough. They open when consciousness aligns with truth, when the word is spoken in faith, when fear is cast out, when the heart becomes receptive. Let the heart become receptive now, not grasping, not demanding, receptive, softly open to the good God has already prepared, open to supply that comes honorably, lovingly, wisely, and under grace, open to right channels, open to right work, open to right compensation, open to right gifts, open to right opportunities, open to right adjustments, open to right ideas, open to right relief, open to right increase, open to receiving without shame and giving without fear. I receive under grace, and I give under grace. Let that sentence cleanse both sides of the flow. I receive under grace, and I give under grace. I receive without guilt, and I give without fear. I receive with gratitude, and I give with love. I receive what is mine by divine right, and I give what divine love directs. I receive as a steward, and I give as a steward. I receive from God through right channels, and I give from God through right guidance. I receive under grace, and I give under grace. There is no dirt in supply itself. Fear distorts supply. Pride distorts supply. Greed distorts supply. Guilt distorts supply. But supply, rightly understood, is clean. It is the movement of divine substance. It feeds, clothes, shelters, educates, heals, comforts, supports, and permits good works to be done. It allows right debts to be paid and right promises to be kept. It allows beauty where there was barrenness, order where there was confusion, generosity where there was helpless wishing. When governed by love and right action, wealth can be a blessing. Let the old suspicion of wealth be dissolved. Wealth without love may become a burden. Wealth without wisdom may become disorder. Wealth without God may become a false idol. But wealth under divine love is different. It is not there to make the personality proud. It is not there to make one hard. It is not there to separate one from compassion. It is there to serve the divine plan. It is there to give freedom for right expression. It is there to relieve pressure, to open channels, to bless, to build, to provide, to give, to circulate, to express God's order in visible ways. Say quietly, my supply is part of divine order, and I use it in wisdom, love, and right action. My supply is part of divine order, and I use it in wisdom, love, and right action. My supply is not outside God. My increase is not outside God. My receiving is not outside God. My prosperity is not outside God. My money is placed under divine love, directed by divine wisdom, and used in right action. My supply is part of divine order. The old state says, it is wrong for me to want more. The new state says, it is right for me to receive what belongs to my divine design. The old state says, I should feel guilty. The new state says, I receive under grace and use wisely. The old state says, money is unspiritual. The new state says, money is a servant of divine law when governed by love. The old state says, if I have more, someone else has less. The new state says, divine abundance is inexhaustible and divine love distributes rightly. The old state says, lack keeps me safe. The new state says, God keeps me safe. Let the belief that lack protects you be dissolved. Lack does not protect the soul. Fear does not protect the soul. Anxiety does not protect the soul. Refusing good does not protect the soul. Divine love protects. Divine wisdom protects. Right action protects. Spiritual poise protects. A person can be supplied and humble. A person can prosper and love. A person can receive and remain grateful. A person can have more than enough and become more useful, more generous, more peaceful, more obedient to divine guidance. If you have feared that prosperity would change you for the worse, place that fear under divine law. Say, divine love governs my prosperity. Divine wisdom governs my choices. Divine order governs my use of supply. I cannot be harmed by the good that is mine by divine right. The fear that good will corrupt you is often another disguise of unworthiness. It says, do not receive, for you cannot be trusted. But divine wisdom can be trusted through you. Infinite intelligence can guide your receiving and your using. The answer to fear is not lack, it is consecration. Consecrate your prosperity now. Offer it inwardly to divine love. Say, all that comes to me under grace is used under grace. All increase is governed by divine wisdom. All supply serves the divine plan of my life. All receiving is clean. All giving is guided. All abundance is blessed. In this way, prosperity is not a personal idol. It is placed upon the altar of divine use. Then the heart need not fear it. There may be old religious or moral ideas within the mind that confuse suffering with holiness. Let them be corrected gently. The poor in spirit are not those terrified by unpaid obligations. The humble are not those who refuse God's gifts. The faithful are not those who worship lack. True humility is knowing that all good comes from God. True faith is receiving that good without arrogance. True love is using that good rightly. True wisdom is not in fearing supply, but in placing supply under divine direction. I release the false belief that lack is holy. I release the false belief that anxiety is responsibility. I release the false belief that refusing good is humility. I release the false belief that being supplied is selfish. I release the false belief that wealth must separate me from God. I release the false belief that receiving more means loving less. I release the false belief that I must remain small to remain pure. Divine love purifies my motives. Divine wisdom directs my increase. Divine order governs my supply. Let the body feel permission to receive. Perhaps this is new. Perhaps some part of you has always braced against good. Perhaps when something kind approached, you asked, what will be taken from me later? Perhaps when money came, you feared a hidden cost. Perhaps when help appeared, you felt shame. Let those reactions be soothed. Divine good does not need to frighten you. What is yours by divine right comes under grace. It comes with peace. It comes with order. It blesses all concerned. You may receive it without shrinking. Say, I am willing to receive my divine good. Let it be simple. I am willing to receive my divine good. Let it be simple. I am willing to receive my divine good. I am willing to receive supply under grace. I am willing to receive right compensation. I am willing to receive help appointed by divine love. I am willing to receive opportunities that match my divine design. I am willing to receive money in clean and honorable ways. I am willing to receive peace around money. I am willing to receive more than fear once allowed. I am willing to receive without guilt. Receiving does not rob another. Let this be clear. Receiving your good does not close another's door. Receiving your supply does not empty another's purse. Receiving your right compensation does not diminish another's blessing. Receiving divine substance through your appointed channels does not steal from the universe. There is no lack in God. The good that is yours by divine right is part of the order of life. When it comes to you, it comes because it belongs in your experience, and when you use it in love, it blesses beyond you. My prosperity blesses me and blesses others. Let this become restful. My prosperity blesses me and blesses others. It blesses my peace. It blesses my health. It blesses my home. It blesses my work. It blesses my giving. It blesses my service. It blesses my divine appointments. It blesses my ability to say yes when divine love directs, and no when divine wisdom directs. It blesses my freedom to act from guidance rather than desperation. Sometimes lack makes people selfish, not because they are bad, but because fear makes the world appear narrow. When one is frightened, one clutches. When one feels unsafe, one withholds. When one fears there is not enough, one may struggle to give freely or think clearly. But when the soul knows supply, it can be generous without panic. It can make decisions without desperation. It can bless others without secretly resenting them. It can listen for divine love. Prosperity under grace enlarges usefulness. Let the false romance of struggle be dissolved. There is nothing noble in unnecessary fear. There is nothing sacred in lying awake night after night dreading tomorrow. There is nothing pure in refusing the good that would allow you to serve more freely. If a lesson has come through hardship, bless the lesson, but do not build a temple to the hardship. Take the wisdom and release the condition. God does not require you to remain forever in the schoolroom after the lesson has been learned. Say, I accept the lesson, and I release the lack. I accept the lesson, and I release the fear. I accept the wisdom, and I release the suffering. I accept the growth, and I release the struggle. I accept divine order, and I release confusion. I accept divine supply, and I release the false holiness of lack. I accept my good under grace. There is also guilt that comes from comparison. One looks at another's difficulty and says, how can I receive while another suffers? But your lack does not heal another's lack. Your fear does not feed another. Your refusal of good does not open their door. The better way is to receive what is yours by divine right, and use it under divine love. Then your supply may become part of another's blessing. Your peace may make you more useful. Your order may give you the strength to help rightly. Your prosperity, governed by love, can become a channel of good. Divine love knows how to distribute divine substance rightly. You are not asked to manage the universe with guilt. You are asked to align with divine law. Receive rightly, give rightly, act rightly, and bless all. If another has need, bless them with supply. Do not join them in lack by taking lack into your own consciousness. Speak for them as you speak for yourself. God is their unfailing supply. Divine love opens their way. Infinite intelligence provides the right channel. In this way, you do not magnify lack, you magnify God. Let guilt be replaced by blessing. If you think of those in need, bless them. If you think of those who struggle, bless them. If you think of your family, bless them. If you think of friends, neighbors, strangers, all who desire supply, bless them. Say divine substance is inexhaustible. Divine love provides for all. The right doors open for all. The right ideas come to all. The right supply appears for all under grace. This is a far greater service than joining the chorus of fear. You are allowed to be provided for. Let the words be gentle but clear. You are allowed to be provided for. You are allowed to have peace. You are allowed to receive your good. You are allowed to live without constant dread. You are allowed to pay what you owe. You are allowed to give joyfully. You are allowed to enjoy beauty under grace. You are allowed to express your gifts for perfect pay. You are allowed to sleep in trust. You are allowed to wake in expectancy. You are allowed to be a channel of divine substance. If the old guilt says, who are you to receive? Answer, I am a child of God, and I receive what is mine by divine right. If the old fear says, what if money changes you? Answer, divine love governs me, and I use all supply wisely. If the old belief says, lack is safer, answer, God is my safety, and divine supply is under grace. If the old voice says, wanting more is selfish, answer, my prosperity blesses me and blesses others. If the old shame says, you do not deserve good, answer, I do not receive by personal merit alone, I receive under grace. Under grace, how beautiful these words are. They remove strain, they remove bargaining, they remove pride, they remove fear. To receive under grace is to receive cleanly, without clutching, without boasting, without guilt. To give under grace is to give cleanly, without compulsion, without resentment, without desire for applause. To prosper under grace is to prosper in order, in love, in wisdom, in right action. To live under grace is to be governed by a higher law than fear. I receive under grace, and I give under grace. Again, I receive under grace, and I give under grace. I receive money under grace. I receive money under grace. I give money under grace. I receive ideas under grace. I give service under grace. I receive opportunities under grace. I give my talents under grace. I receive help under grace. I give kindness under grace. I receive increase under grace. I give blessing under grace. My whole life of supply is under grace. Let the heart feel clean. There is no stain in right receiving. There is no shame in right provision. There is no guilt in divine supply. There is no selfishness in money governed by divine love. There is no spiritual virtue in needless panic. There is no holiness in rehearsing lack. The Spirit of God is abundance, order, beauty, wisdom, and peace. Let these qualities enter your financial consciousness. Let money no longer be surrounded by shadows. Let it be surrounded by divine light. Nothing is too good to be true. Nothing is too wonderful to happen. This does not mean every passing desire of the restless mind is part of the divine plan. It means that God's good is not limited by the small expectations of fear. It means that the human mind often calls something impossible because it cannot see the channel. It means that divine love can arrange what man could not arrange. It means that the good which belongs to your divine design may appear in a way so graceful that the old mind would have called it too wonderful. But in divine law, it is natural. Let yourself become willing for wonderful good, not frantic for it, not grasping, willing to be surprised by divine love, willing to be guided into supply, willing to have a burden lifted, willing to see a door open, willing to receive a right idea, willing to be paid rightly for right work, willing to have an obligation met, willing to be freed from an old financial fear, willing to let God be greater than your past. Say, I am willing for my good to be greater than my fear. I am willing for my supply to be greater than my old expectation. I am willing for divine love to surprise me. I am willing for divine order to replace confusion. I am willing for prosperity to be safe, clean, and guided. I am willing to receive without guilt. I am willing to give without fear. I am willing to live under grace. If the body resists, bless the resistance. Do not force it. Say, even this resistance is now under divine love. Perhaps guilt has lived there for many years. Perhaps fear has been taught and retaught. Perhaps shame has seemed like caution. Let it unwind gently. A knot is not always loosened by pulling hard. Sometimes warmth loosens it. Let these words be warmth. Let divine love be warmth. Let the idea of clean receiving be warmth. Let the belief in inexhaustible good be warmth. The hand that once closed in guilt begins to open. The heart that once apologized for receiving begins to give thanks. The mind that once thought lack was noble begins to understand divine order. The soul that once feared prosperity begins to consecrate it. This is the healing of the financial nature. It does not make one careless. It makes one whole. It does not make one greedy. It makes one receptive. It does not make one proud. It makes one grateful. I release the false belief that lack is holy. I release the false belief that I must struggle to be good. I release the false belief that receiving is wrong. I release the false belief that wealth is unsafe. I release the false belief that money is outside God. I release the false belief that my good harms another. I release the false belief that guilt protects me. I release the false belief that fear makes me humble. I release all false beliefs now, and I receive the truth under grace. My prosperity blesses me and blesses others. My supply is part of divine order. My increase is governed by divine love. My receiving is clean. My giving is guided. My money is a servant of divine law. My work is perfect self-expression. My opportunities are divine appointments. My channels are selected by infinite intelligence. My future is not governed by guilt. My future is governed by God. Let the room feel softer now. Let the darkness around you no longer seem empty but full of quiet possibility. The night is a good time to release guilt because the conscious mind is tired of arguing. Let it stop arguing. Let the deeper mind receive the simple truth. God's good is inexhaustible, and I am safe to receive my appointed good. God's good is inexhaustible, and I am safe to receive my appointed good. God's good is inexhaustible, and I am safe to receive my appointed good. You do not have to deserve the sun before it rises. You do not have to earn the air before you breathe. You do not have to apologize to the fountain before you drink. Divine good is not a grudging thing. It is the nature of infinite spirit to give, express, expand, supply, and bless. Your part is to align, to speak rightly, to receive humbly, to act wisely, and to circulate in love. Your part is not to make yourself miserable enough to be worthy. Misery is not currency in the kingdom of God. Faith is. Faith receives before appearances applaud. Faith gives thanks before the channel is visible. Faith does not grovel before money. Faith does not despise money. Faith sees all supply as of God and says, "Thank you, I will use this rightly." Faith is calm enough to receive. Faith is humble enough to give. Faith is brave enough to release guilt. Let guilt now be released from the financial life. Guilt about wanting enough, released. Guilt about receiving help, released. Guilt about having more than before, released. Guilt about desiring comfort, released. Guilt about being paid, released. Guilt about enjoying beauty, released. Guilt about giving only when guided, released. Guilt about saying no when divine wisdom directs, released. Guilt about saying yes to your good, released. All guilt is now dissolved in divine love. And let fear be released. Fear that prosperity will vanish, released. Fear that others will judge you, released. Fear that receiving makes you selfish, released. Fear that money is dangerous, released. Fear that God's good is limited, released. Fear that the channel will close, released. Fear that there is not enough for all, released. Fear that lack is safer than supply, released. All fear is now dissolved in divine love. Now in the place where guilt once stood, let gratitude stand. In the place where fear once stood, let faith stand. In the place where shame once stood, let innocence stand. In the place where lack once stood, let divine plenty stand. In the place where apology once stood, let thanksgiving stand. In the place where resistance once stood, let receptivity stand. The inner house is being reordered. The rooms are being cleansed. The table is being prepared. The soul is learning to receive. I receive under grace, and I give under grace. My prosperity blesses me and blesses others. Divine love knows how to distribute divine substance rightly. Nothing is too good to be true. Nothing is too wonderful to happen. I release the false belief that lack is holy. God's good is inexhaustible, and I receive my appointed good in peace. Let these words flow like a quiet river through the night. No guilt, no panic, no worship of money, no hatred of money, no fear of receiving, no shame in supply. Only divine order, only divine love, only right use, only peaceful increase, only the clean hand, the grateful heart, the guided mind, and the words spoken in faith. If you sleep now, sleep with permission to receive. Sleep with the heart open to God's good. Sleep without apologizing for the supply that is yours by divine right. Sleep without bowing to the false holiness of lack. Sleep knowing that prosperity, when governed by divine love, may bless many. Sleep knowing that your good does not steal from another. Sleep knowing that infinite spirit has enough for all. Sleep knowing that divine substance is inexhaustible. And as guilt dissolves, expectancy can finally become pure. For a guilty heart cannot expect freely. A fearful heart expects loss. A shamed heart expects denial. But a heart cleansed by divine love can expect good without trembling. It can expect supply without apology. It can expect open doors without forcing them. It can expect right action, right timing, right people, right channels, and right increase. Now that guilt is released, the law of expectancy may awaken gently in you, and what you expect in faith begins to draw its appointed form. And now, let everything become simple again. Let every teaching, every word, every law, every declaration become quiet within you. You do not need to hold them all in the conscious mind. You do not need to remember every sentence. You do not need to understand every channel. You do not need to arrange every answer before you sleep. The word has been spoken. The seed has been planted. The way has been blessed. Divine order is established. Rest now in the knowledge that infinite spirit is your unfailing supply. Rest now in the knowledge that your word has gone before you. Rest now in the knowledge that old prophecies of lack have been dissolved. Rest now in the knowledge that money is blessed, ordered, directed, and multiplied under grace. Rest now in the knowledge that every obligation is placed under divine law, every channel is selected by infinite intelligence, and every right action appears at the right time. You are not alone with your money. You are not alone with your needs. You are not alone with your questions. You are not alone with tomorrow. Divine love goes before you. Divine wisdom walks beside you. Divine substance is beneath every true need. Divine order is above every confused appearance. The Christ within bears the burden, and you go free. Let the body sleep. Let the mind become still. Let the heart unclench. Let the old fear fade into nothingness. You do not need to rehearse lack while you rest. You do not need to count what is missing. You do not need to speak against your own good. You may sleep now in faith. You may sleep now in peace. You may sleep now in the quiet certainty that your good is not lost. Your supply is not withheld, and your way is not unknown to God. While you sleep, divine intelligence works. While you sleep, the word is working. While you sleep, the deeper mind receives the pattern of supply. While you sleep, old fear is dissolved, and new expectancy is established. While you sleep, divine appointments are arranged. While you sleep, right ideas are prepared. While you sleep, the right door is brought nearer. The right word is formed. The right action is made plain, and the right provision is released under grace in perfect ways. Do not force the channel. Infinite intelligence knows the way. Do not fear the timing. Divine order knows the hour. Do not cling to one door. Divine love has countless doors. Do not make money your master. God is your source. Do not condemn yourself for yesterday's fear. Tonight, the right word has been spoken. Tonight, the burden has been cast. Tonight, your financial life has been returned to divine order. God is my unfailing supply. My money is in divine order. Every obligation is met under grace in perfect ways. What is mine by divine right now comes to me. My word is my wand, and I speak only truth over my life. I bless every coin, every note, every payment, every gift. Money comes to me under grace and goes from me under grace. What I bless cannot diminish me. I receive under grace, and I give under grace. My prosperity blesses me and blesses others. Let these words become softer now. God is my supply. My way is open. My good is sure. My burden is lifted. My money is blessed. My work is guided. My talents are directed. My appointments are arranged. My supply is released. My heart is peaceful. My sleep is holy. My tomorrow is under grace. There is nothing to fight now. There is nothing to force now. There is nothing to fear now. The law is quiet, but it is active. The seed is hidden, but it is alive. The door may be unseen, but it is prepared. The answer may be silent, but it is moving. Divine love does not forget. Infinite intelligence does not fail. The word spoken in faith does not return void. Sleep now as one who is provided for. Sleep now as one who is guided. Sleep now as one whose good is already moving through the invisible. Sleep now as one whose financial affairs are being adjusted by divine law. Sleep now as one whose old fear has lost its authority. Sleep now as one whose mouth has been cleansed, whose heart has been opened, whose expectancy has been purified, and whose supply is sure. All is well. All is under grace. All is in divine order. The right door opens. The right word is spoken. The right action is shown. The right provision appears. The right people are guided. The right channels are selected. The right timing is established. The right good comes to pass. You may rest. You may release. You may let go. You may sleep. God is your source. Divine love is your protection. Infinite intelligence is your guide. Divine substance is your supply. The Christ within bears the burden. The way is open. The word is sealed. The good is released. And so it is, under grace in perfect ways.